This episode of the Inside Running Podcast is brought to you by Pillar Performance, Australia's leading sports micronutrition brand, providing high-strength formulations to support recovery, elevate energy, and relieve joint inflammation for endurance athletes. Available now at pillarperformance.com.au.
Your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Under cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking.
Welcome to episode number 229 of Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Big show coming at you. We're talking about the World Indoor Champs that have just wrapped up over in Serbia this morning. Talk about the Melbourne Track Classic that happened over the weekend. Thanks to Patreon supporters. Moose on the Loose, missed that last week, so you can give us two if you want this week, Moose. And do everything else that we do on this podcast every week. Welcome to my co-host up in Canberra, the 3:48 1500 metre runner, Bradley Croker. Welcome to this week's show.
Thanks, Brady. How you going?
Yeah, I'm going well. Thanks, Croaks. Up and about. A lot of good things happening at the moment, so pretty excited to be talking to you on a Monday night. First up, how was your weekend? No kids, no wife. What'd you get up to?
It was very quiet. Watched a fair bit of footy and, did a fair bit of running and a bit more recovery. So it's, love Viv and love the kids, but it's nice to have a bit of alone time every now and then. So they're back on Wednesday.
Oh, they're still away. Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Jeez. My other co-host, down in Anglesea, the Australian representative at the 2019 Doha World Championships over the marathon for Australia. Welcome to this week's podcast, Julian Spence.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Greetings. Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good. We already had a little chat, so that's why it feels awkward to
get introduced.
Yeah.
Don't give away all our secrets, Moose. The listeners don't know we've already had a little
We
chat.
just spoke about the Great Ocean Road, though. You should be a bit more up and about than what you are.
Yeah, I tried to go up a level since that recording.
I wasn't talking about that. I was going to say that we had a good catch-up before as friends, but...
Mate, we're all too busy to have catch-up as friends. We get on here and just go, right, let's start, get going so we can get finished. You're too busy to have friends, aren't you?
I know. I'm trying to do 8 things. I'm actually performing 3 jobs right now and talking to you.
Okay, as long as you don't get distracted, I'm happy.
No, I'm engaged.
Tell me about Anglesea, Moose. What's been going on down there?
I've been busy still. Anglesea is changing as a town just because COVID is forcing people out the city. Everyone can work out. They can live in their holiday houses down there and still perform the work they need to, like work from home gigs. You can do it on the coast. So our town's changed a little bit from when I was growing up. Even the weekends at the moment in towards like mid to end of March are busy. So it's good because the businesses get pumped all year and they used to battle through the year, but it is a little busier on the trails and in the cafes and on the beach, that kind of stuff.
All right, how's your running been going? Not a lot of action.
Oh yeah, didn't do a lot of running this week.
Pray for news.
Yeah, I ran today for the first time. So last week Monday I ran twice. We talked about that. I ran in the morning with Maddie Freeman. Ran some trails. I sort of had a little bit of an e-niggle, and then it wasn't too bad. And then during the day I was like, oh, this isn't feeling perfect. I did do a double because at that point it wasn't very harsh, the pain. It wasn't severe. I didn't feel like it was an injury or anything. And then I ran that afternoon, finished the run, got in the car, got out when I got home from the run, and my knee was just like, it felt like someone had put a knife in it. It was locked up basically in a certain angle. And I spent the next like 5 days trying to get the inflammation down from the joint. So I saw Ali, and she gave me some exercises to do. Took some anti-inflams. I've been going to Keza. So Keza is sponsored the Great Ocean Road. They looked after me with like a little bit of an introduction membership at their clinic. They're like a physio gym type setup where they assess your strengths and weaknesses, and they've got like machines in there, so you go around, do a bit of a circuit. And so I'm going to that, and I've been paddling the board a little bit. So, but I didn't actually run this week until today. So that was those runs only on Monday. And my thought process behind that is that I just don't have anything to rush back for. I'd rather the knee come good and I enjoy healthy running rather than go through that similar cycle I've done in the past, which is just train through an injury, gets a little better, train more, gets a little worse, and it just does my head in. So for me, like, I'm just want to get healthy first before I get back, and it feels pretty good now.
Yeah, because that's hard to do, because you were stringing, like, looking at your Strava now, like 5 or 6 decent weeks there.
Yeah, and this is the problem. It probably got a bit carried away. Like, I remember, and this happens a lot, and I've noticed it. I've seen multiple people do it, but the athlete comes back, is really sensible, does a lot of cross training, keeps their mileage relatively low. They get really fit, get a race result, all of a sudden get a sniff of more running, and then they get sucked into that whole trap of just running as much as they can again, and then all of a sudden long-term injury. And I got sucked into it, no doubt. I didn't need to be running 140k weeks. I didn't need to. I was coming back really well, and I was.
Yeah, and those guys smoked you down in Geelong, didn't they? And then you put up something about how you're so motivated. Is that it?
Is that?
Because remember, you put a picture of Pia.
Yeah,
and you're like,
I understand.
This is my motivation, or something. Was that the time you're talking about?
But you also
that wasn't about that. That was about getting beaten. That was yeah.
But also, like, on your comeback moves, like, it's one thing to come back and just train like comfortably hard, but you had that sort of Sunday race with your group, which was a high intensity one, and then you had, the Geelong race, and you had some races earlier on. So you had a fair bit of intensity in that comeback.
I did, and looking back, it's like, you made some bad decisions here in retrospect, and at the time, just because your body feels good doesn't mean it's a good idea to do what you're doing. Mm. And so I'm like, I say it now, and you guys got to hold me accountable. The next comeback, I'll be a lot more sensible with my mileage. I'll do more cross training, and I don't need to be really doubling. I need to be getting 6 months, and we talked about it last week. I don't want a week up, a week down, a week up. I want 6 months of just injury-free running, and that could be at 80k a week, could be 100, could be at 70, could be 120, but I don't think I'm going to get it at 140 plus.
Plus the new stress as well. We spoke about that a couple of weeks ago when you took over the shop. Like, people underestimate how much stress can impact your body.
This is the thing as well, and it's not just mental stress, which there is a lot of. A lot of it's actually me just being on the shop floor, squatting. Like, I go into it. I think my knee actually flared up a lot from going into like deep squats to do up people's shoelaces for them.
That would do it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize what was going on at the time, and then I like pulled up one day. I'm like, oh gee, that was I squatted probably 5 times during that fitting, deep in, like, basically my bum touching the ground. And you do that 6-7 times a shift, there's like 40 squats, and that's a day. And I haven't been doing that for a long time, really, like fitting shoes like that. So it's changed. Yeah,
new movement. I've asked you this before, or maybe is Ali still writing your program, or would you consider going to someone who you can bounce ideas off, or give you a program so you just to hold you back a bit? Yeah, I know you're kind of uncoachable. Yeah. Like, I know it's hard to then coach someone who's so busy with their lifestyle and stuff as well. But yeah.
Well, that's what I liked about not having a program, is that I could do what worked for me on that day. And maybe I do need that, but I think like in my head, I'm like, oh, I've realised the mistake. I can fix it now. So, but that's just
until
a bit
you make
of
the next mistake.
yeah, exactly.
I can hit up Jakob. I'm sure there's room in the squad for you,
In the
Moose.
I was going to introduce you as Bradley Ingebrigtsen tonight as well. Fully forgot about that. Bad.
But
Bad
are
24
we doing
hours for your
doubles?
family.
Are we doing doubles,
Double
Brad?
workouts, 10 by 1
not-
super sessions.
Not yet. I reckon that might break me.
Oh, well, if I'm not joining unless I go full Ingebrigtsen style.
Something to think about though. But yeah, I don't know how anyone would write a program for you though, how busy you are.
Yeah, it makes it.
But the minute you have a program, it changes things when someone else is writing it for you.
Yeah, I
Who
don't know.
would you get? Nick Bedell or someone?
No, I would get Ali.
Oh yeah. That's what I started with the question. Has she been writing your program, or you?
No,
just been,
I took it
yeah,
back
okay.
because I wanted some more flexibility in it. I wanted to be able to do it. I was changing most of the stuff myself just because of my lifestyle, but I would definitely get Ali again because she got me back from the knee surgery properly, and
She knows what she's doing as a physio as well. Comes in handy for someone with injuries. Yeah.
and she knows me and my body really well, so I think that would be. But she's busy now too, so she probably wouldn't take me back. Not after I dumped her last time.
4 weeks until Storr, you'll be right to get going, I reckon. Croaks, your week?
Yeah, I had a good week. I don't know, off the back of Moose saying you probably did too much. I had my biggest week in close to 2 years.
Yeah, you had a good week.
But I feel good. Like it's like I've had patches since 2018 where I felt like I've been moving okay, but it's been for like 1 or 2 weeks. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, since the start of the year, since I've got over COVID and my calf, like I just haven't had any of this back and hip stuff. And like running is just so enjoyable. Like it made me realize like how much I was just battling for the last 2 to 3 years. Like, and like almost like stubbornly doing it, knowing that it wasn't fun, but I'm just like, oh, I've just got to keep going. And something's just clicked where, I don't know, I feel like I'm moving as well as I have, since 2018. So, so Monday was a public holiday. So I got out in the morning for an hour at 4:22s. Then Tuesday morning, did 35 minutes on the treadmill, just at 12.5K an hour. And then track session on Tuesday. So I was going to do anywhere between 8 and 10 by a K, depending on how I felt. So 2 weeks earlier, I did 8 by a K. And there was 3 of us in the little group, which was awesome. Like I was driving out there, I'm like, I wonder how many guys will be there to share the lead. And, leading 10 reps on your own, it would be a bit of a grind. But as it turned out, I only really had to lead sort of 5 of the 10. So I ended up doing 10 by a K. Felt great. Like I averaged 312s for the whole session. So like the first probably 4 reps were between like mainly around 315s, and then like the next sort of 3 reps were around that sort of 312, and then my last 3 were like I think 310, 307 and 303, and just felt like super controlled. Like I've never done 10 by a K before, and the one thing I'm finding with these longer controlled sessions is I'm just getting stronger. Like I'm not running as fast as when I used to do 6. You're running close to 3-minute Ks, but you get halfway through the session and you're already like working pretty hard and you just try and hold on. Whereas, I could have done another 2 reps. Like, so I was really happy with how that felt. And, I think 312s is respectable for where I'm at.
Do you think that's your half marathon pace or 10K pace, like for the listeners out there?
I reckon it's a bit, I don't know.
312 pace for a half marathon's pretty good. That'd be 68, wouldn't it?
No, so it'd be quicker than half marathon pace.
15K pace.
Yeah, so I reckon somewhere around that. Like obviously my reps fluctuated. Like my slowest was 318 and my quickest was 303.
Yeah, probably average.
But if we're looking at 312, so look, I reckon I'd run. Yeah, I reckon I'd run a bit quicker than 312s for a 10K based on how I'm just feeling at the moment. Somewhere between 10 and 10 mile pace, I suppose, average. Yeah. So
and
then
heart rate was pretty good.
Yeah, crept up a little bit on the last 2 reps. But I think that's the joy in that, because you've kept often when people do K reps, as I said before, they get halfway through the session and they're already like pretty cooked and they're trying to hang on for 3 more reps. Whereas I was actually able to run fast at the end of the session, but feel really controlled because I wasn't like spent from three quarters of the way through the session.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at this as well, like I'm looking at the heart rate for the actual reps, but I think it's just important to look at the heart rate for the minute off, and it drops.
It was
quick.
coming down pretty quick, wasn't it?
Quick.
Yeah.
Like you're averaging 140 for a minute. And that a minute's not a long time, so that's showing that you're handling the pace, no worries at all.
Well, that's probably the one thing
from you.
The one thing I've noticed with these sessions is, like I'm probably ready to go after about 30 seconds recovery. Yeah. Whereas when I'm doing, like back in the day when you're doing Ks, like you want the full minute.
Yeah,
whereas
the argument
here,
probably is that it's only a 3-minute rep. Like it's not getting enough time to get up there.
Yeah. So anyway, I was really happy with how that felt, and it's just a good way of getting through like good volume too. Like it's 10 Ks worth of work, but I don't feel completely beat up from it.
So were you, sorry, you might have said this when I was getting distracted, but were you meant to kick it down like that?
Not really.
Is that what Jakob does?
Well, I don't know, but I just felt like it wasn't. Well, it wasn't all out. Like certainly wasn't an all out sort of. I'm going to run as fast as I can for these last 2 reps. But I'm just like, I feel pretty comfortable. I'll just pick it up a little bit. So, yeah. All right. So then Wednesday after work, got out for 20K, 4:18s. Thursday is my sort of lighter day, just 45 minutes, and I did sort of about 20 seconds strides at the end of that. Friday morning, jumped on the treadmill, did 6 by 6 minutes off 1 minute rest. So I think must have been about 10 days ago I did this session, but I did 5 by 6 minutes. And I did it at 17K an hour, which is like 3:30. So for this one, I pumped up the treadmill to 17.5K, which is like 3:26s, and did 1 extra rep and felt really smooth once again. I was knowing whether I'd do the 6th rep, but looking back at all the data, my heart rate was identical to what I did 10 days ago for 5 reps at a slightly slower pace. So once again, just in that comfortably hard zone. I think my heart rate, like I was averaging like low 160s for the reps, and probably got up to like mid to high 160s by the end of the session, which given you're on the treadmill in the garage, like you do sort of, your heart rate does sort of creep up a little bit throughout the session just because you sweat a fair bit and get a bit dehydrated. But I actually jump off the treadmill in between reps, and I grab I keep it running. So I basically hit lap on my watch, and because I use the Coros, so I hit lap and then I hit off until I then start again. And I just go and sort of wipe myself down with a towel, have a drink, and then jump back on. So
this is a good example though of like your heart rate's pretty similar to your 3:12K pace, but you're going 12 seconds K slower. But because the rep goes for longer, it gives the opportunity for the heart rate to increase. Yeah.
So that was Friday morning. Friday afternoon, 7.5K out at Mulligan's, 4:20s. Saturday morning, an hour at 4:22s. And then that afternoon, just jumped on the treadmill for another 35 minutes. And then 2 hours yesterday, same loop that I did the week before, pretty much the same pace as well, 4:15s for 148K, which is probably more like 147 because the track session measured a little bit long. But yeah, it's like my biggest week since I think like May 2020. And I just feel good. Like I certainly haven't nailed myself in any sessions, and I think that's allowed me to actually run a bit more mileage.
Here's Fit Moose. Haven't seen
Getting
this fit
better.
in a long time. Super sessions, 10 by 1Kers.
But it's not a super. That's not a super session.
I'm taking the piss. If you did them at 3:03, it would be.
Yeah.
You can just tell by the tone just how fit he's going. And it's nice to hear because he's been a real Debbie Downer for a long time.
As I said at the start, I cannot believe how miserable running is. Like comparing how I move now to like the last 3 years, it's like it hasn't been fun. But as we know, like when you are moving well, it's like the best feeling in the world.
So with all that said, Croaks, best feeling in the world when you're running well, haven't ran this good for 2 years, and then I hear this rumour that you're going to pull out of the stall gift.
I'm thinking this is good for you. Stall is good for you.
Exactly. Why would you pull out of this?
Well, all right. So
explain this to me.
Originally,
live on television, the listeners are so excited. Committed to it 6 weeks ago.
So there's a few reasons. One, originally it was like, let's go to stall. They got like fashions on the field. They got fashions on the field on Saturday.
Be on
that'd be
TV.
great. Be part of like the whole atmosphere. Then we get online and we can't find any accommodation within like an hour of stall, which means, all right, well, we can't actually go to stall and stay in stall for the weekend. Then it was like, all right, we'll come to your place, Brady,
Which means
which means
beautiful
for us,
accommodation.
so for an Easter long weekend, it's 6 hours in the car on Good Friday. It's
Come
then another
down Thursday night, I reckon. Come down Holy Thursday.
So anyway, 6 hours with two kids
We get
down
it.
to
You got
your
to travel.
place.
We get it. We got to travel to the race, but everyone's got to
then-
travel to races, Brad.
Yeah, no. But so I got to go 6 hours just to get to your house.
Yeah.
Then spend a day or so there. Then I got another 6 hours on the Monday, 3 hours there, 3 hours back, and then I have another 6 hours on Tuesday to come home. Now that's like 18 hours in the car over my Easter long weekend with like kids, when it's a 4-minute race that like 15, 20 years ago, that's when I should have been doing this event, not
It's
now.
handicap though. They'll give you a good handicap.
But the point is, it's
Chance
like
to win $5,000.
yeah, it's also the chance to go there and like tear my calf or tear my Achilles because I'm going to be running way faster than anything I've ever done. Or in the last.
Why don't you catch an aeroplane? You realise they exist. Catch a plane down Canberra to Melbourne. I'll pick you up at
with
the
the whole
airport on the way
family?
through. Yeah.
Nah, it's still
Come on,
yeah.
mate.
It
There's
doesn't
a lot
mean
of disappointed
stall's
listeners.
not
They were
that
pretty excited about this.
Stall's not that important to me. And look, Moose is probably not even going to run now either.
Yeah,
Are you running Moose? Are you running Moose?
He's legit injured though.
Well,
he's
the
not
whole
just a
idea-
pussy
I
about
might
it.
start it. I might be up with a starter's gun.
Yeah, I just can't justify
What
giving
about
up a
if we?
whole long weekend.
What
for
about
a
if I
4-minute
start
race.
one of those like change.org campaigns or something? So how many signatures do I need to get you there?
It doesn't matter.
You know I'm going to do this too, don't you?
You know I've
you know I'm
you
going to
know-
do this. 1,000.
You know I've made my. I don't give in to peer pressure.
What about
Brady.
how many comments do you need on your Strava this week? If we use like hashtag Go Race Stall Croaks or something like that.
It's not going to.
Get
Well,
the
actually,
list-
probably
get the
the more comments I get,
Just
the
give the
less
listeners.
likely
A
I'm
lot
going
of
to do
listeners
it.
tune in this podcast every week. They listen to you week every week. Been doing so for years. They just want to see like head to head.
Sydney 10 is locked in.
No,
First of May.
But the thing is, you said Stall was locked in. No one can believe you anymore.
No, I never said store was
You-
locked
you
in.
did
When we-
say it was locked in.
When
You
we
lost all
spoke about it,
credibility.
when we spoke about it, I was like, oh, that's tempting. But it was never locked in.
Oh, bullshit. It was locked in. The guy from Stall Athletics Club emailed it saying thanks for locking it in.
Yeah, it was locked in, given that we could actually stay in store for the weekend.
So
and we
hang
could
on.
do
If I
fashions on
can,
the
so if I can
field
get a listener that lives near Stall that can offer up some accommodation, you'll do it?
and- Probably not.
Come on.
So
This is
no.
disappointing, isn't it, Moose? I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Hey Moose, would you be keen for 18 hours in the car over Easter long weekend for a 4-minute
Mate,
race?
he flew to Doha for a race. He flies to Berlin. You know how long that flight is?
That's a bit
If I was in
This
the
is what
form
we
you were
train
in,
for.
I would be
Yeah.
there. You could. How much cash here, Brady?
$5,000 prize money. As
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
worth it.
people think it's like, as I
Brad,
said,
you love cash.
people think
Yeah,
it's a
like-
gold medal kind of same as a Stall Sash. I don't
I
agree
used
with
to,
that statement.
I used to love cash more than I do now, Moose. Now I actually think about things like 18 hours in the car, and I'm
it's
like,
$5
you
grand
can't,
all up. I think
you
it's
can't
$3
pay
grand.
me enough.
What
for
about just
that.
fly down? Flights can't be that expensive. Just come down on the Sunday Arvo.
This is a business trip.
Yeah.
You realise you're you're an employee of this business,
Yeah.
and we're your directors.
Anyway,
Hmm.
Sydney 10, listeners. Where you'll see me on the start line.
Do you reckon, this serious question, because I've been taking the piss a bit the last couple of minutes, but do you have like a bit of concern about racing? Because you got to you got to get on a podcast and talk about it. Like, does it worry you that if you're not going to win, you don't want to race?
I was actually I've been thinking about this a bit recently.
Because it is different now that we have a podcast and you got to justify stuff and recap races and things like that.
Yeah, but then I argue, like, early on, like, I had some of my best races when the podcast started, you know, like my 217. I thought it was actually good for me. I think
Good
now
pressure.
I think more I realise that, you know, like, I'm not going to, I'm unlikely to get excited about any race result because for me, it's like, well, if I can't break my PBs, like, as we've gone over this many times where it's like, I've raced for 20 plus years, and back when I always felt like I could PB, it was exciting. Whereas I just don't feel like I can do that anymore. Like,
You got to get the stall, mate. Your stall sash is like
I
something
enjoy
that-
train. Yeah, like going out and doing 10 by K, feeling great doing it. Like that gives me just as much satisfaction as going to Sydney last year and running 14:44. Like
Oh, really?
I can't. Yeah,
races are a whole different
legit.
level.
I come home and I feel just as satisfied that I feel good running, and I get out the door. People run like people run for,
you train
for
to race.
reasons other than racing. Not everyone. I reckon the majority of people out there run for other reasons than racing.
Yeah, and we saw that during COVID when everyone just kept training even though there was no races.
Yeah,
I do agree. It's got more benefits than just racing, but the races are the bit that just like get the hairs sticking up on your neck kind of thing. That white line fever.
Yeah, when you used to think you could run faster than you ever have.
I reckon you're pulling out because you don't want me to smoke you.
I don't give a shit
That's
about it.
why
It's a
I-
handicap race. Who cares?
Yeah, but still, if I can give you a
What if
50
you're
minute,
off
if I
same
can give you a
handicap,
50,
I reckon?
if I can give you a 20-minute head start and still beat you, that's even better.
That's all right.
All
I
right.
reckon I'll put you on the same handicap.
I'm happy with
I
our
reckon we'll be on the
head-to-head,
same
Brady.
handicap. Yeah, but it's hard for me to balance out this head-to-head if you never want to race me. Disappointed, Croaks. Not angry, just disappointed. We're still at the end of the director at the Victorian Athletic League said we got to the end of March to try and change your mind again. So that's 9 days. So we'll see how we go.
Not happening.
Listeners, get into him on Strava, Instagram DMs, wherever you want to. Let him know. My week, boys. You want to hear about it? Public holiday Monday, Labor Day. Did you have that, Bradley, in ACT?
It's called Canberra Day, Canberra Long Weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's called Labor Day down here. Got out for 60 minutes, 4:42. Just real recovery focus, this one. Actually went and checked out the new bridge. You guys have been hearing me bang on about the new bridge from Echuca Moama. So went bush.
What new bridge?
Yeah, we're getting a new bridge, Moose. And remember those new traffic lights I was telling you about?
Nah.
New bridge, they reckon it's going to be finished mid-year, but I reckon they're working hard, the tradies down there. So I went down and checked that out, went down the bush, but then I ran into a few fences, so I had to kind of double back. Couldn't get through there. Had it all set up for all the construction. Pretty big job putting a bridge like that in. You don't realise how much machinery and those big pillars. Like, they're not going in the water. They're going straight from one bank to the other bank. Whereas the other bridge goes in the water, like it's got pillars going into the water. Which
So
you got,
how do you put those pillars in the
I
water?
don't know. My brother and I were talking about it the other day. Like, do they just chuck it down there in the mud? I don't know how do they get them to
There's
stick
got
down
to
there?
be a way, because I've often thought this. I'm like, you got to put concrete or something in, and it's got to dry.
How
But
do you
how's it going to
dry
dry?
And it's so deep down there too.
This should be so easy to know.
But there's real sad stories. I don't even know if they're real. Some Echuca listener will let me know. But there's stories of people jumping off the bridge and actually getting stuck in the mud at the bottom of the river and never coming back up again.
No, that's not true.
No, true, like, yeah. No, I think it
Mate,
is.
that's what you tell to your kids so they don't go play in the river.
Oh, he's still playing there. You still go down Moana
That ain't
Beach.
true.
You don't
Come
jump
on,
from
mate.
I don't know. Echuca listeners, help me out if that's true. So that was
ain't
Monday, 30 minutes drills and strides in the afternoon. 6 by 20-second strides real fast in the Monday afternoon there. Tuesday workout, 3 by 3K, 500 metres jog between. Went 9:40, 9:38, 9:33. Felt junk early. First rep felt shocking. Had a bit of a headwind, but it was only like 10k an hour, I reckon, 10, 15k an hour. But just felt sluggish. But then the longer I went, the better I felt. So yeah, kind of that 3:12, 3:15 kind of pace there, which was nice. 30 minutes in the afternoon as well. It was a bit of a shakeout, 4:41 pace. Wednesday, my recovery day, 45 minutes in the morning at 4:39 pace. 30 minutes in the afternoon at 4:32 pace. That was after a schooner because footy tipping's back, boys. We've got this local place we do the footy tipping at. And $25 right for the season. But every week you put the footy tips on, you get a free schooner. Pretty good deal, eh? And they got I think they got like 15 different beers on tap at this pub. So
This isn't the Echuca Moama Bowling Club?
No, this is the American hotel. This one's at the footy tipping there.
Wait.
I don't know if the bowling club has footy tipping.
Trouble in paradise.
Yeah, I don't know about
This is the one I go, and I go with my tradie mate who's like a panel beater. He owns like a tow truck and panel beating.
Archie was at the bowling club because
Geez, Archie, yeah, he'll be taking that sponsorship soon, the way he's running. Anyway, so Colonial Pale Ale was beer of the week this week, which was all right. So, and run all right after having a schooner of that. So, might try that every week. Apart from what gets me with the footy tips, it frustrates me, is back in the day, footy tips, like you'd always go down Friday night. But now we've got these Wednesday games, we've got Thursday games, we've got Tuesday games sometimes. It's really hard to lock in at the same time you go down every week. So that was a Wednesday game, this one. Thursday, medium long run, hour 45 at 4:07s, 25k. Went out to the old mountain bike track again. Enjoying that run. One of my favourite runs at the moment. Pretty dark early at the moment too, boys, isn't it? If you're getting out there before kind of 7 a.m, it's dark for the first bit.
Oh, yeah. It's headlamp season.
Yeah, daylight savings will change soon though, won't it? And then we'll get a bit of light back, and then it's going to be full dark soon.
Then it's dark at night.
You only get a couple of weeks back, don't you?
And it's dark at night. So, yeah.
So then I went to a funeral in Bendigo that day. So a few hours in the car, and then I didn't do my second run until about 7:15 p.m. Just got out for 30 minutes at 4:32s. Friday, a bit of a light workout, 6 by 3 minutes off 90 seconds jog. Just kind of riding that low 3 minute kind of line. I think I averaged like 3:02, 3:03s. So kind of quick workout, not that hard, over pretty fast. And then went to work for the day, and then 30 minutes in the afternoon at 4:38s. Saturday, recovery day again, 60 minutes at 4:30s. I was pretty up and about on this one because Collingwood had a win the night before, boys. You watch this, Moose?
I didn't watch that. Geelong played, though?
Geelong
played?
smacked up Essendon, didn't they?
Oh, I didn't see.
They smashed them Saturday.
I thought it was still the pre-season, to be honest.
Did you? You lost touch with the footy season.
Yeah, I just tuned in around finals time.
Yeah, well, you're good if you're a Geelong supporter because you pretty much play finals every year, you guys.
Yeah.
It's good to watch them. We've got a new coach, so it's good to see him get a...
Who coaches you now?
Craig McRae. Remember he used to play for Brisbane?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's good friends with one of my friends.
Is
Tristan. He? Yeah, Lynchy from... he used to play for Brisbane Bears too. They're good friends.
Because he's married to a Bendigo girl. Married to
yeah.
a girl I went to school with. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. But
I didn't know that either, but my brother told me the other day. So it's good that he's got a bit of a Bendigo connection there.
Anglesey connection.
Yeah, as well. Does he live down there?
No, Lynchy was our coach for a while.
Oh, right. That's a small world, eh? He seems good. Seems like a real good leader, I reckon.
Yeah.
And Collingwood's got this new brand of footy, so they're kind of good to watch because we were super defensive last year and just not kicking any goals. So, overseas listeners, this is the AFL we're talking about here, but we'll move on. Sunday, 2 hours 15, 4:06, hot, boring. I went and had to go solo. Like Archie was racing down in Tassie, and Glenn was racing over in Wangaratta, so I went solo. Probably went half an hour too late. One of those ones where, like, you know when your shorts are so sweaty it starts dripping off your shorts and it like touches the back of your leg, and you're not sure what that is. Like, you're like, did I just run through the sprinklers or something? But then you realise it's just how much you're sweating. I had that like 40 minutes in, so it was kind of a long time. Plenty of heat gains out there, but got it done just short of 33k. 160 Ks for the week, fellas. Another good base building week. Nothing on this piece of paper is that good, but altogether, it's a decent week. So 1 month to stall, but Carly did just say at dinner that she's thinking about doing a run for the kids in 2 weeks. So I might go down there with her. We worked out that she could look after Olivia while I do the 14k, and then I could finish the 14k and look after her while she does the 5k. So I might have a race in 2 weeks' time.
That'd be a good one.
Would be good to see where I'm at too. Kind of like a nothing distance. Just 14k probably suits me. Kind of gets rid of a couple of those kids that are fast over 5'10".
It might be a nothing distance, but it's a good race.
Bit of an old man strength. Oh yeah, it is. I love run for the kids. I really like that. So yeah, see what happens there. Anyway, I want to thank the Patreon supporters.
Let's do it.
I'll kick it off with Christian Lynchhausen. Christian lives in Oslo. He's got PBs of 45.23 for 10k and 2:11 for the half marathon. Spends a bit of time with the green and white doctor over there in Norway, and could be a senior consultant in web and Android development. So thanks for your support, Christian. And I love how everything's the doctor these days. It doesn't matter what.
Did you like what I did
The
there?
white doctor.
Don't mind that.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
So we've added because you started with the blue and the orange, and we've added the green and the white in just like the last 2 weeks.
Have you seen Christian though in the middle of winter over there? I'm not sure he loves the white doctor.
Oh no, he hates the white doctor.
Hates it.
He's loading up again. He's doing Hamburg. April.
Yeah, he's not the smartest cat.
Who's
Has he apologised to you yet?
Still haven't heard anything from Christian. I did like a couple of listeners tagged me in his Strava posts from his last marathon attempt though, which was don't bite back. I know how hard marathons are. That's what I was getting at. Marathons are hard. You're going to have DNFs. You're going to have injuries before you get to the start line. So like, maybe don't throw shit at guys who are running 2:20.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh,
who are you thinking, Moose? You're trying to make something out of nothing here.
Jarden. You spelt that wrong, haven't you?
Jaden.
That's Jadan. That's Jarden.
Do you reckon it's pronounced Jaden though?
I'd say Jaden would be with like an E or a Y, I'd say. Jarden or Jaden Halkett. Kilsyth. Is that in the country somewhere near you, Brady?
That doesn't actually. No, I don't know where that is, Moose. I'll look it up while we're talking. Not down your way.
No. So Jarden is run 1:23 at Run Melbourne half, 2:58 at Melbourne Marathon 2019. Maybe a bit of a history in triathlon and Ironman. Won the 44K at the Wilson's Prom Run Festival. So that's a bit of a trail running strength there. Could be a senior project engineer. What do you reckon that means?
That's an engineer, but you're the best of them.
Yeah, you're the top dog.
Yeah, it's near like a suburb of Melbourne.
Oh, is it?
Near
Right.
Bayswater, Ringwood.
Oh, it sounds a bit more country than that, doesn't it?
Ferntree Gully.
Kilsyth. Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, good. Thanks, Jarden.
Thanks, mate. I'm going to thank Amy McKinley from Hampton East. That's also a suburb of Melbourne, I think. Could be an 800-metre runner with a PB of 2:15 if I've got the right person. So she's got wheels, does a few of the Vic Milers Club races. Only 20 years old, so watch this name for the future. Could see that get down to, 2:10, 2:8, 2:6. All of a sudden you're the next Katrina Bissett. Won a few pro races, including the Ballarat Gift Moose. She won the 400 metres at the Ballarat Gift.
Okay.
And she's once come second at Stall. So it hasn't quite got the Stall sash, but she got pretty close one year.
Gee, okay, yeah. Some Ballarat Gift's a good one.
One of the
most prestigious. Yeah, one of the most prestigious.
One of the big ones. So thanks, Amy, for your support of the Inside Running podcast as well. If you like what we do, insiderunning.com/Inside Running Podcast. Heaps of bonus content over there. Over 100 bonus shows. Get the show early each week. Helps us keep the lights on. Keeps us rocking up every week to record the show. So, if this show brings you value, you can help us out financially to support us. Rightio, boys. Let's go to the World Indoors first. This was good watching it the last couple of days. Easy to watch. Just click on YouTube. You're there straight away. Don't have to worry about VPNs or anything like this. Great commentary.
Yeah,
Is it
they did a good job.
Hannah
They did a good
English?
job
Is
of
she
that.
who's a good runner back in her day too, wasn't she? She's the one on the commentary.
I don't know who it
I
was.
didn't watch any of it. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're the wrong person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Hannah English doing the commentary with Steve Cram. Is it Steve Cram?
Not sure either, Brady. But yeah,
Did you watch any of it?
I did. But I don't know who the commentators were. But yeah, I liked that they had multiple channels as well, depending on what you wanted to watch. But yeah, as you said, just jump on YouTube and I tried to watch as much as I could. I stayed up to watch the men's 3K final because it was at 10 past 10 or something like that, and got up and watched Lyndon Hall in the morning. So I think that was 6:30. But then last night I couldn't justify getting up at 4 o'clock or whatever to watch the men's 1500. So,
Yeah,
but
a bit early.
But do you want me to? I'll whip through the women's results if you like from an Australian point of view. Yeah, all the ladies performed really well. So Kat Bissett was 5th in the women's 800 in 2:01, and it was just giving it a red hot crack. At one point there, it looked like she was going to get into 3rd place, and just probably faded a little bit in the last 50. But 5th at World Championships, still a great result. Lyndon Hall was 6th in 4:06, which I saw one of her interviews. I don't know, it might have been after the prelim, where she said she realised that she wasn't in the best shape, given coming off the Olympics, and may have had a niggle here and there. But 6th is also a really good result, especially given she admitted that she wasn't in amazing shape. Women's 3K, Jess Hull was 6th, 8:44. Race was won in 8:42. So she was behind 3 Ethiopians, Puria St. Pierre, the US lady that won silver. Did she get silver,
Yeah,
Brady?
she did. Yeah, she split the Ethiopians.
And Stafford. And the other Aussie was Lauren Ryan, who was 19th in 9:13.
And I put that in there because there was only class in front of her, world-class good runners in front of her.
Yeah.
I'm interested with those comments about Lyndon because even though her and Jess were both 6, Jess ran a completely different race. Jess tried to win it, and I think Lyndon probably knew her fitness wasn't there and tried to be the best of that next pack and kind of sat back and then could come home strong. But I put on Twitter, go back and watch that race of Jess Hull and just watch her the whole time. Such a messy race. I think there was there 21 people in it on a banked 200 metre track. So messy. She covered every moves and then, come home strong. but she had a really good crack to be as far up as she possibly could.
It's one thing you notice, like, because we have like zero experience in racing indoors, because we don't have an indoor track in Australia, but you realise like how important tactics are compared to like outdoor track. Like, just because like if you're running slightly wide, there's so many bends on the because it's a 200 metre track that you want to be positioned really well. And as you said, like Jess was being it was real rough in the middle, so you're almost better off being at the front or right at the back.
Yeah, I heard someone say that. That's where you want to be. And then you've got to
make... Beamish said that.
Oh, it was he that said that, yeah. And you've got to make quick moves. Like, you watch the guys who try to pass on the straight, and they go from mid or the back to the front because they just put this really quick 20 or 30 metres in. Like, their cadence just goes so quick for a short period of time.
Because they don't want to be out in lane 2
and
on
if you can't get in, you're screwed, aren't you? Like, you got to run so extra distance. So that was the women's. Moose, you got the men's results?
Yeah, I've got them written down, but again, I'm not great at. I didn't watch the races, but
that's right. Coach and I watched some. We'll tell you.
All right, for the gents in the 800, Charlie Hunter, he didn't make it through his heat. He was he ran 1:49.07 to finish 6th in his heat. Ollie Hoare ran 5th in the final of the 1500, so that's a solid result for Ollie. 3:43.3. Comments on that race? I didn't see it.
3:34.3.
Yeah,
it was an interesting race because Jakob, I think we all expected to win, but didn't. Teferi, is it correct? The Ethiopian who won? Yeah. Who Jakob absolutely smoked a couple of months ago. I remember when he set the world record indoors. And this guy, Teferi, had the world record taken off him that night. And then it was Kipsang, the Kenyan, leading, went really fast the first probably 200-300, and then just stepped wide going around one of the bends and just let Jakob come through. And Jakob come through and then pretty much led up to 30-40 metres to go, and Teferi sat on in the whole way. Jakob just kept trying to increase the pace. Ollie probably got spat out a bit the last 400-600, but hung on pretty well. He just couldn't go fast enough, just couldn't hang with them. And then, Teferi just went past Jakob in the last 20-30 metres, picked up the win. Thank you very much. A bit of a shock, but I don't think Jakob wanted to lead Croaks. You'd agree? That early in the race? That was a great move by the Kenyan just to let him come through.
Yeah, but I think he still just backed himself that, if you're the fastest guy in the field, like you can run away from them.
And he did everyone bar one.
And I think that was his attitude, but I did listen to his post-race interview and he said, like, normally he feels like a bit garbage up until 800, and then he often feels really good from 800 onwards, and he just didn't feel that. Like, he sort of knew that he was, sort of struggling at 800 metres. But I guess it's hard. Like, everyone just expects so much of him now that, you finish second and, he's disappointed.
Yeah. Especially for the family.
In the 3K, Matt Ramsden, he made the final, which was great. He ran 12th in it, 7:49. So still a solid run there, but 12th out of how many? How many were in the final?
I think that's a pass mark, him getting through to the final.
Yeah,
like,
I think
a lot of good
so
guys
as well.
didn't. Like, that's his first.
I think that's success.
He went to did he go world champs with you in Doha?
I think so.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Second singlet, second open singlet maybe, to get through those finals. Like, hard races. Hasn't ran a lot of indoors either, Ramsden, has he?
No,
I think that's a pass mark.
Success for sure. That's more than pass.
I think the whole championships is like pretty successful. Like, what did we get? 2 fifths, 2 sixths. Him through to a final.
Well, that's the distance community, but.
Oh yeah, I'm just talking about distance stuff. Had a couple of medals in the fields too, didn't we?
Yep. I think they call it the heptathlon for the men when it's indoors, and the women's high jump. We got a silver.
Very good.
Do you know what I'm excited about?
What are you excited about?
Well, so Jess Hull is coming back for Aussie champs.
Oh, really?
Ollie Hoare is coming back for Aussie champs. Charlie Hunter, I think, is coming back for Aussie champs. So we sort of missed out last year with the whole COVID thing. Like, Ollie didn't come back for the the Olympic trials. So all the big dogs are going to be at trials in 2 weeks' time, and like hopefully Stewie's fit and healthy and he's there, and Jai, and it's going to be a good 1500 for the men.
Why are they coming back?
Oh, I guess it secures them. So if they win the trial and have the time, they're automatic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what they need. Oh, that'd be good, won't it? The worst thing about Australian Championships is though, like it's over like 4 days, and the races are all over the weekend. Like imagine if they just went women's 15 final, men's 15 final, 5k, 3k steeple, 3k steeple, just half an hour of power distance events. That'd be good, wouldn't it? You just tune in for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Where is it again? Sydney?
Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney.
Yeah.
You going to go watch Croaks? Should go down there.
Don't know yet.
Too far to travel, Moose.
Maybe I might be in Wollongong that weekend.
There is
I might go.
no
Tell you
chance.
what, when is
you're
that
going.
Wollongong race? Because I've got blokes from Wollongong Track Club lining up to smash you at that race, actually.
Yeah, it's
They're up and about, those boys. They were listening
Saturday-
last week.
2nd of April. So
2nd of April. Oh, that's
yeah,
next weekend, isn't it?
tempted. Yeah, so not this coming weekend, the one after. Yeah, it's the same weekend as Nationals.
Yeah, they're up and about the Wollongong Track Club. That's the Gong 5K.
Yeah,
Pillar Performance is sponsoring it.
yeah.
They must be giving a bit of money out of that, are they?
No, I don't know. I think it's just product.
You'd know, I reckon. He would have sent the email through, Moose.
I've got no idea.
Can you pay for me petrol? What's the prize money? Is any accommodation going?
Yeah.
All right.
You don't rock up for free, that's for sure.
Won't be rocking up. Anyway, that was that Melbourne Track Classic. Bit of a contrast watching this stream compared to the World Athletics one at the World Indoors, boys. This is pretty disappointing, this stream, I thought. Start with Steeple. Yamaguchi from Japan got the win there, 8:27. He beat Max Stevens, 8:30. Matthew Clark, Olympian Matthew Clark, did a lot of leading, but then just fell off the last couple of laps, ran 8:43. And considering he was probably with them with 500 to go, they put a bit of time into him over the last 500, so I hope all is good there with Matt. The Steeple Moose, I think you watched this one. You were pretty happy with it.
I watched the ladies one,
Yeah. Tell us about that one.
Earl Bucker. Let me just pull up the actual pronunciation, sorry. Brielle Erbucker came across, looked very good down the home straight, ran away from Georgia Whincup, also Olympian, and Stella Radford in third. But yeah, Brielle, she's a younger lady and looks like a big future in the steeple.
Hey, I just saw the results. Cara Fee and Ryan, who
Yeah,
usually wins
she-
it, did she fall or something?
Led early and then fell off the back.
We
Okay,
got 400 to go. She dropped off, lost contact.
interesting. Because I'd expect her to be definitely coming close to winning this one.
Yeah,
But
well,
that's a steeple for you. It's the same with
Yeah.
Matt Clark in the men's.
Yeah, you'd think he would have been right up there winning that race.
So that was a good one. And then the women's 15, this was a great race as well. Abby Caldwell got the win, 4:09.07. Nat Rule second, 4:09.1. Sarah Billings, 4:09.7. Nearly had to go to the photo finish there. They tried to pull Abby in, but just couldn't quite get her. Still a bit slow. I think she ran 4:04 a couple of weeks ago, so a bit slow, a bit more tactical. But a good win there as well. Men's 800, James Preston won that in 1:47.3. He's a New Zealander. And then in the mile, this is the guy I was talking about the other week, fellas, who did a bit of leading in the Australian 3K champs, Mick Stanovzek. I said it's from Victoria. Well, so he's just got that Australian citizenship, so still not sure what's going on there. He won the mile in 3:59.4. Callum Davies from Queensland was second, 3:59.5. Rory Hunter, your mate Croaks from the Agony of the Feet Track Club, or whatever you guys call yourself up there. He was third in 4:00.19.
From Team Telford, actually.
Team Telford, sorry. Get those two elite squads confused up there a bit. And big news I'm hearing as well. A few things across my desk is Melbourne University's got the checkbook out and they're paying big money for Mick to run for them this AV season. So, we might see him in a few of the AV races, which is pretty handy signing. But Melbourne Uni, pretty well known for doing that over the seasons. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes over the cross-country distances. So good win for him at the Melbourne Track Classic. Looked a bit shocking there though, boys, didn't it? Small crowds, stream wasn't great. It's not a good sign when they've got the Chemist Warehouse section set up at all the deck chairs and no one's actually sitting in them. Didn't really do a great job to sell our sport, I didn't think. Especially when we're talking about like hanging on to the momentum post-Tokyo Olympics.
It was
And
so spread out, I found as well. Like I was looking at the
program.
timetable of all the stuff that I wanted to watch, and it was like, you'd have to wait 30 or 40 minutes until there was another distance event on. And to be honest, like I started just watching the rugby league, and because the good thing about the live stream is you can just go back and rewind and just watch the races. So
I turned it off as well. Like
it was hard to get up and about for, just because no disrespect to the athletes competed, but it wasn't I don't know, like it's not the type of Grand Prix meet that you'd expect off the back of the Olympics.
It used to be as well, remember? It used to be huge, that Melbourne track meat. I know it's changed its name a few times. Where was everyone, though? How come?
Well, a lot of them are overseas.
Mile, but where was where's like Geordie Williams and stuff? Like, how come he's not, like, who else could possibly do the men's 15? Gregson, Williams, Jai.
The thing is, though, I actually tune in and watch a Vic Milers meet or a Box Hill Classic or something like that. I'll tune in and watch that, even though the people are like, I might watch a 16-minute race because, but I didn't really want to watch this. Like, I put it on, and it just felt empty. Like, it felt like there was no atmosphere, or I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me.
But if you're a bloke who does a running podcast every week for 229 weeks, goes to the World Championships to represent your country in this sport, if you're turning that off and feeling empty, how the hell are we trying to convince the punters who become a Pete Ball fan over the Olympic 2 weeks, or become a fan of, Sinead because they watch the marathon or someone like that? How are we then going to get that audience there?
Yeah,
we're screwed. We're screwed. There's no way you can do that. And
but we are doing good things, but more on a community level. They're getting it right now. Like they're improving it. They're bringing in, like the Box Hill meets are amazing for that. The Tiger meet, the Collingwood meet.
Yeah.
There's good track racing going on now. I think it would be like we have Parkrun, and the road racing's getting bigger. So like the fun runs and stuff are always good.
Hey, and there's a stream, because a couple of years ago there were no streams at these kind of things. So we're making slow gains, but yeah.
And I guess to be fair as well, like we're more like distant. We're more distance based as well, and like the longest of there's the steeple 3K, but there was no like 3K flat race or a 5K on the track, which is sort of the more the stuff that we tend to watch, and the athletes that we sort of expect to be there. The mile was probably too short for them.
I think you'll find though that even the throwers, jumpers, sprinters didn't really enjoy they
were all in the Facebook comments saying there's
not good.
They were complaining about that, which I think they got every right to as well, because you never really see it, do you?
But those Box Hill, as you said, Moose, the Box Hill stuff, like the fact that they're putting on multiple races on one night that are all seeded
back to back,
and it's quite deep, like that's great to see.
Yeah.
That's going to be the future. 5K meets like that, 10K meets like that. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
New York City half marathon was over in New York City, obviously. Last night our time, their Sunday morning. We had Pat Tiernan and Brett Robinson on the start list. All I've got here, fellas, is Brett Robinson DNF. This is what he had written on his Strava. Another day, another stitch or something. ... It's not food related. New York City half DNF. That was at 9.3k into the race. Haven't seen a result from Pat Tiernan. Wasn't listed in the results. Not sure if he started. Happy to hear more about it if you know anything.
I don't know. Obviously, he didn't finish, so we don't.
Do you know if he started?
He started, yeah. He's got some results come up for him. He got it to I'll just show you. I'll just pull them up. So I've got results for Pat so his first 5K 14:22, so was in that pack with Brett. Then he got to 10K 28:55, and then he got to 9.3 miles, whatever that is, and
15K.
Probably. The pace for that was 13:20. It looks like he's walked to that marker and gone over that marker walking, because it was like 40 minutes of exercise. So yeah, he obviously had a shocker too.
Not good. Brett's got what's he do about that stitch thing? That's the first time we've seen it at half, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was put down to the marathon, wasn't it? Like when he always ran well in the halves. He was
and 9k in, that's like 27 minutes for him.
Yeah, like the only thing that I'm thinking is I often get a stitch after running a hard downhill. It messes with my breathing, and I almost hold my breath but that's just all I've got. That's the only thing here, is that sometimes when you run downhill, you get diaphragm issues or you get stitches because your breathing gets messed up.
And do you think he's more sensitive to it now because he's experienced in the marathon?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no answers
Jeez,
here.
I hope he sorts it out. Like, for one of our best marathoners, and well, obviously our very best half marathoner, like, we can't have a stitch issue sorting it out for, like, sorting him out, can we? Like, we want to see him at his best. Imagine if he could never get to his potential because of this issue. Be sad.
Yeah. Some physical kind of...
Something that comes on.
Yeah, I don't have an answer there.
Hopefully Pat's all good as well. Croaks, nothing to add there?
Nah.
All right, fellas, now on to our Great Ocean Road Running Festival segment. Been doing this the last 2 weeks. Obviously spoke to Watto last week, and then the week before that we're talking about details of the race week, which is just 8 weeks away yesterday, so probably close to 7 weeks if you're hearing this when this show goes out. This week we're talking all about some marathon and half marathon tips for the race day, so hopefully there's some value in this if you're lining up for this event or any other half marathon or marathons in the coming future. Moose, you're the king down there. We spoke about it the last couple of weeks. When you think Great Ocean Road, just the marathon, start off with tips, what comes to your mind? What jumps out to you? Because this would have some different tips than just general marathon tips.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a bit hillier than normal. There's no support on the road, so you've got a pretty lonely day out there. Like, you might have some running buddies you're with, but there's every chance you might spend a lot of time by yourself. And I think they're things to focus on. So some hills, obviously long run hills for me, conditioning to go up and down, especially down. There's a hill at the 30k mark where your biggest downhill, it comes off the back of Cape Patton uphill, and you drop down probably 2 to 3 kilometres on a climb. I'll just pull it up. I've got it on my Strava here. So it's actually at the 27k mark is the hill. So you climb 26k mark, you climb 30 metres. 27k mark, you climb 31 metres, and then you go downhill. So you drop 39 metres, 22 metres. So 2k downhill, which is pretty serious, and that's then you still have 15k to go after that. And a lot of people will bomb down that downhill because it looks pretty flat afterwards, but their quads will cop that, especially if they're sort of they're braking down the hill. A lot of the time that can load the quad more eccentrically, create a bit more muscle damage, and you'll pay for that like half an hour to an hour later down the road.
So is your tip to put the brakes on down that hill? Don't bomb down it.
No. The brakes, I think, will create more muscle damage. Yeah. I think you want to fall down it, not out of control, but you want to just let gravity do its job. And you don't want to have these big overstrides down the hill. You still want to basically land on your center of gravity, but just in a falling, like a controlled falling motion, rather than big overstride, whack down, try to control your legs and brake almost. Control your speed down the hill will result in more muscle soreness.
And 7 to 8 weeks out is probably the perfect time to start practicing those things as well. Because you can, if you do go too hard and you do have those DOMs in the coming days, you still got enough time to get over it, practice again, all those kind of things. Whereas you don't want to be doing this 10 days a week out because it can cause damage, which can, obviously impact you so close to race day.
That's right. I reckon now's the perfect time, and don't go crazy on it. So if you don't run hills consistently, then I wouldn't go out and do every single long run over hills. I'd probably do it every fortnight. Make sure you're hitting some hills, some good areas. Everyone's in a different spot, but as a guide, like for the Great Ocean Road Marathon, I had 440 metres of climbing on the last time that I ran it. So I would aim to get about 400 metres for your 30 to 40k long runs, I reckon. So something around a similar amount of climbing, perhaps a little bit more. And then, you don't have to do crazy steep ones. I think like Great Ocean Road has 2 big climbs in it. One at about the 7k mark, and then that one that I just talked about at Cape Patton. And outside of that, there aren't really steep, sharp climbs. So you don't need to go out and do like crazy trail running to get used to it. But you do want to add some hills and some climbs that are maybe 5 to 10 minutes long on your long runner.
Yeah, and be prepared there because there's rolling hills. I've just got my Strava up from the half marathon as well. Like, there's going to be a massive range in your splits. So, like, I know some people get real obsessive, and it's okay if when you do flat marathons that you want to run 4 minutes and 15 seconds per K for every one of the Ks. You can't do that on this course. Like, there's going to be, I'm just looking at mine, there's probably I think there's like a 37 second difference between my fastest and my slowest K. And I'm pretty good at kind of locking in, but it's a course where you can't lock in and hold it. So kind of don't be a bit of a sucker to your watch. It's probably, I'm sure this would have been your advice every time you won it, was you got to really run this course on feel, because your watch is no good with your K splits out there.
Absolutely, and it can get windy, and as soon as you cop a bit of that headwind, then all of a sudden add some seconds to the watch. I think it's the perfect race where you just turn your watch off. Maybe have distance on, because sometimes you don't see the distance markers out there. I know they normally put them up every 5K, I think it is, but sometimes like I've missed them before, so it's handy to know exactly where you're at if you're going to take gels. And once you get past Cape Patton, you can kind of see Apollo Bay most of the time, so you know exactly where your finish line is. Yeah. So then it's just running for home.
And the other point you made as well about it can get lonely and it's quiet, and there's not many fun runs or, mass participation marathons you do where there's very little crowd, because it's such a unique situation down at the Great Ocean Road where people can't access the course. So if you're someone who relies on, getting there, a bit of motivation from when they see the crowd or hearing a DJ playing music at what we do see in some of the big city marathons, you don't get this at the Great Ocean Road, and it's a really weird feeling in a way, because you can just hear your footsteps and you can hear the people's footsteps around you, and it's like it's just you and the road and the beautiful scenery. But that's so different to so many big events around the world and around Australia.
Yeah, the ocean is pretty incredible. I'm not sure how many people take it in outside the first couple of K of the race, but it is I know some of the days I've been out there just by myself, during the race, just sort of lost myself looking at the surf spots and kind of forgetting where you're at, because there is no one around you and there's no one cheering or waiting for you to run past or anything. So you can lose your focus a little bit out there, but it's 44K. So it's not like you're going to be on the edge the whole time. You're probably best off just finding your rhythm and not listening to not looking at your watch, just listening to what your body says is the right pace at that time.
Yeah, and sometimes those distractions are good as well. Any other tips, Croaks? You've ever coached anyone running this race down here, Great Ocean Road?
I had one lady do it once before, but so from 7 weeks out, if you're looking at a normal marathon training program, from 7 weeks out, every second Sunday, I'm probably doing some marathon paced work in it. And so you've already touched on the fact that I would still do that for this event, but it wouldn't be time. I would just focus on marathon effort, and I would do it over rolling hills as opposed to, doing it on the flat and trying to lock into a pace. So that's probably one thing that I'd do. Also, a typical sort of marathon session is often a 10-mile tempo. Rather than doing that on the flat, I would actually try and find an undulating course to do it on, because there's a big difference between just going over hills on your long run at an easy pace versus actually doing it at a decent clip, which that's where you'll get the damage in your quads. And you probably want to have one of those sessions where you do pull up a little bit sore initially to condition your body for it.
Yeah, especially this far out. Would you guys program in hill reps? Should people be doing 2, 3, 4 minute hill reps? Or you just stick to tempos over hills?
You certainly could. I guess it depends how it fits in with their training, but I like the tempo over hills because you practice downhill as well. It's not just for the VO2 benefit of going uphill hard. You actually can practice running downhill on a tempo run, and it's probably a little bit more specific to the day. So I actually prefer the tempo run to prepare for a race like this.
Yeah. And 7-8 weeks out, this is the time when, I'd be organising kit, I'd be organising race shoes, I'd be organising gels, drinks, all those kind of things now, because you don't want to, especially when you're getting stuff posted, Like, you don't want to leave it. It's better to be over, organised and under-organised kind of thing. So I'd be looking at all those things now. Practicing the gels, see how they sit in your guts. Drinks, yeah. Get organised now so you can just concentrate on the training for the last... Because really, taper the last 2? You kind of got 5-6 weeks to go. This is the meat of it. If you're preparing for this race, you are in the thick of things as we speak.
I think it's worth noting as well that you might have to practice carrying your gels on this run. So I think they do maybe have SIS out on the course. I don't think it's confirmed on the website, but they are the sponsor. And it's just hard to know exactly, you're better off preparing to carry your own stuff. And so just investigating what's the best way for you to carry your nutrition. If it is SIS, perhaps practice with some SIS gels before the race if you're planning on taking them at the stations. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just got water listed on all the different drink stations at the moment on the website. And it says water will be provided on course and may also choose to carry your own sports drink or gels with you.
Oh, so it might not. Yeah, okay.
I don't think, from reading that, they're not going to have any on course. So, but that's good because you can control that yourself. So you want to do these races being in control of as many things as possible.
Very true.
And then the course, I'm just looking at it it's definitely hillier the first half, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Once you get to 27k, you're rolling down to the finish line. There's still a few bumps, but it's not as heavy as the first. The first 8-9k looks way worse.
Are you looking at the course on the website?
Yeah, elevation.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes it look nicer. I've often looked at that and thought, oh, gee, once you get down, it's flat. But but when you look at I've got mine here up from my runs. The first half is hillier. It's probably only flat from the 41k mark to the 44k mark, I'd say. There's even a little hill at 41k. But there's also a hill, it's just no real flat sections to the course. Not really.
488 metres elevation.
That's what it says?
What did you have on your watch?
440, so yeah, about the same.
Geez, your watch is good. I always thought when I did the half marathon, that was pretty hilly. My watch got at 350 metres for the half, and it's actually only 167 metres.
Yeah, well, we know about your watch. Your watch has been looking after you for the last time.
That's my old watch, mate. That's back in 2016. This year with a Coros, it'll be a bit better.
Hey, Moose, quick question. The years that you won this, because I'm thinking about it from setting yourself up for the rest of the year. If you're training over all these hills and then you're doing a hilly marathon, you're going to come away from that. Yeah, obviously you've run a marathon, so you're going to be a bit beat up, but you should come away from it probably a lot stronger than you would if you're training for a flat marathon, and then you can take that form into the rest of the winter.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant for that. I love it. I used to love training for it because it suited what I like doing, just getting out in the bush over hills on Sundays. And because there was none of that real fast marathon pace, I never did a lot of that training for it. So I would train a little bit more traditionally and I could train with the group more. So I wasn't out doing 4x5k at 320s or whatever. I was running on a Saturday. I'd do a hill workout with the guys, or I would do a fartlek on Tuesday with the group, track reps on Thursday. So I actually preferred to train for these. And you're right, it does set you up for a more specific, faster marathon later in the year.
Did you hear the news out of Instagram today as well? Did you see this? Big signing doing the marathon.
Oh, I did see this. I did see
this. Nick Earls cancelled Manchester Marathon and committed to the Great Ocean Road Marathon.
Do you know the funniest
bit about
it?
The record holder, he'll be chasing that $3,000 first prize. Hope Ash Watson's going okay when he hears that news. Big showdown coming.
All this is Nick at one stage thought that he might go to the Commonwealth Games for any particular distance. He fully thought that he was going to go, and then they told him you've got to run 2:12, and he's like, oh.
Hey, he's got a quicker PB than you, and you went to the World Champs.
We're both in the same. We've got the same chance of going to the Com Games, me and him, right now.
Well, that segment was brought to you by the 2022 Keyser Great Ocean Road Running Festival. Take on Australia's most stunning running event this 14th and 15th of May. Moose on the Loose, purchase of the week, rules of Strava.
Oh, mate, I've been off Strava. Actually, I went on Strava. Did you guys see Sunday? Big paddle.
Yeah. You put a paddle board on.
Have a look at that. So got up early.
Surely you could delete that from Strava, couldn't you?
Imagine if we had done that, Brady.
Did you see how good that paddleboard was? Actually, boys, did you see I went Instagram live one morning?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that was a good one.
I'm so glad I missed that as well.
How many did you have watching? 3?
7. And I just gave them a good sunrise out in the ocean.
I actually know someone, they told me this last night, they accidentally gave you kudos thinking it was a run, that paddle, and then they actually went back and took the kudos away because they're like, nah, we're not kudos in this.
I can tell you, those boys being 1K plus out to sea, but on the outer reefs, wild country out there. And I'm just out there on one little piece, toothpick. I'm out on there on a toothpick.
You've had Moose on the Looses before saying don't upload stuff like this. Keep it off Strava.
No, I said endurance activities that endurance activities go up. That is an endurance activity.
Was it death on a stick, Moose?
Mate, I went out at Addis just behind Bells. You know, I'm paddling, a bit of swell, southeast. Had some runners. I even put a leg rope on this time because I thought if I'm out here and somehow get knocked off my board by a great white, I'm going to need a leg rope. But anyway, about an hour, 10 minutes of paddling, pretty solid.
Did you go point to point? Did you get dropped out there and then paddle home?
Bree went and rode her bike to pick my car up later.
Did you get sore?
I got sore. Oh my God, my neck is fucked.
Yeah.
You gotta raise your neck the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would do 2K stints. So I'd paddle for 2K and then I'd sit up and have a bit of a stretch and then I look around and feel good about myself.
Did you take your phone?
No, not this time because the swell was a bit big.
Gnarly swell.
It wasn't gnarly, but it was a big enough where I knew that if I got a wave over me, the phone wouldn't last.
Did you see any kooks out there?
There was some kooks where I first paddled out, for sure. I went past the kooks.
They give you any lip or anything or not? Good kooks?
No, I give them lip.
Do you?
I give them lip.
Tell them to go in.
Get in
before you get killed, you kooks.
I just roll past with my 12-footer. 12-foot paddleboard. They've never seen anything like it.
Is there respect for someone like that, riding that thing out there?
They don't understand it.
Yeah.
I'm misunderstood.
They think you're a kook.
I think they do. But they don't know what sort of adventure I'm going on.
So the rule of Strava segment is it's okay to upload those things. Is that what you're
doing? If
it's
an endurance activity, for sure. But, the segment, I'm still not brave enough to hit this one yet. But I'm going to give you... I'm gonna throw it out there so people can start framing their own opinion on it, and then I'll introduce it when I feel brave enough. Transgender athletes in sport. There it is.
Hope you do your research.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I don't have an opinion either way because I don't have enough knowledge to have an opinion.
There's knowledge and science out there.
I know, yeah. Do you know who does a lot of stuff on it? Ross Tucker, yeah. I'd trust whatever he says. What's he say? What's his side of things?
No, he's very much on the side of the terms are going to be difficult here. Do you want
to pause it and you can tell me next week when you actually do it?
Oh, I don't have time to research it and make it respectful.
I just want it researched and I want it respectful, so there's no backlash.
Basically, the ladies.
Something happened in swimming, didn't it? Didn't a transgender athlete win a swimming race?
There's been a few instances lately. It's not. But this was. I think the incident you're referring to was. There was an athlete who had sort of changed genders from male to female, I guess, or competed in the men's gender first, and he was not very good at swimming, and then he changed to the ladies' gender, and he won by a mile, I think. Or she did, sorry. This is a tricky one, fellas. I'm not quite ready for it.
That's why you've got another week to research it, get your facts straight.
Got to get my pronouns and everything right.
What's coming up, Croaks? What are you doing?
A bit of training.
What's the super session this week?
I think I'm going to do hills tomorrow and maybe just a continuous tempo somewhere on Friday.
All right. That'd be all right. Moose, what are you doing?
I'm going to start trying to run again. So, yeah, got about 20 minutes. Might do an epic paddle. Might go to Tasmania or something.
What are you doing, Brady?
No, not much. Craig's doing a bit of training. Not much. Life's just so routine when you got kids, hasn't it? Like every day, just like pretty set, pretty similar routines, and you just get through.
What's your next major marathon?
I don't think. I don't know.
I feel like you're building. I feel like we're getting towards. You'll be doing 2 hours.
I'm just trying to get fit.
You'll be doing 2 hours on a Thursday soon. You'll be doing 2.5 hours every Sunday.
I do think that conversation I had with Rab, that interview, I think we have got complacent in thinking a long run should be 2 hours. Yeah. Like I do think there's value in doing 2.5, 2:15s, 2:20s pretty regularly, like year round. And I often feel as well that when I'm building for a marathon, I am that fit that I could run a PB over like 5:10 half. And sometimes I actually think I'm like, I wish this marathon wasn't coming up because I wish I could use this fitness for like more than one race. So I think I do run really well off higher mileage. On
the flip side, though, you see a lot of good athletes run fast, like not so over the marathon, but 5-10K off hour 45 to 2 hours, no more than that.
Yep. But you got to realise, my goals are for the longer stuff. Like I'm happy with my 5 and 10K, and I think that is one of my weaknesses. When I had that chat with him, I was thinking about it. I am very good at going, all right, 14 or 12 weeks of the marathon. Let's start up in the long run, start doing some longer stuff. And it's probably, if you only do that twice a year, maybe I've only been doing it once a year, like you're only really doing longer training for 12 of the 52 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I reckon.
I'm just trying to get fit.
A sign for me when I knew I was actually like really like marathon strong was you would get to 2 hours and you'd actually still feel like you're full of running in that last half an hour. And then you'd actually drop back to doing a 2 hour run and it would feel the equivalent of like your normal hour easy run.
Yeah.
Whereas, and so you don't get to that point unless you start doing 2 hours, 15, 2.5 hours. Because like I know at the moment, like I get to an hour 45 and I'm like, like I'm looking forward to finishing this run now. Yeah. Whereas if I was to push out to 2:15, 2:20 for a few weeks, then go back to 2 hours, 2 hours would feel really easy.
Yeah. For me, I don't have the hill factor. So I've got to be like, well, can I put these long runs out 10 or 15 minutes to make up for what I'm lacking with the hills? Probably need to put them out more than that. So, but I won't run a marathon. I'm pretty much, locked to do the AV season, the 10 rounds there.
Gold Coast?
Yeah.
I'm booked for Gold Coast.
Yeah, we booked flights yesterday, Gold Coast. How long are you going up there for?
I'm out for a week. So we're flying up on the Friday and back on the Friday.
Oh, yeah, well, we're going Thursday to Thursday.
Yeah, nice.
We should go to theme parks or something one day. Take the kids to Movie World or something.
Yeah,
you going up, Moose?
I think we're going to SeaWorld.
SeaWorld? Nah, they don't treat animals real good there, do they?
I don't know.
Mate, you can't go supporting that stuff. I'm sure they do the right stuff. Are you going up Gold Coast, Moose?
I don't know. I'm going to wait until we see how the body is.
Business trip, Moose?
Business trip.
Well, I don't know.
You're an employee.
Is it a business trip? I don't see it.
We'll do a live show up there.
A live show?
Oh, do we have to?
Are you going to do it? Are you going to zoom in?
We'll get Zaka onto that. Get playing Zaka if you're listening to this.
Yeah, we had it all set up last year. We had a venue. And
I was pretty keen to come until you blokes started talking about going to theme parks.
Oh, you haven't been invited to the theme parks.
Ah, good. Yeah. That's good.
Just Bree and Pia can come to the theme parks.
What are Vinny going to do, Brady?
Yeah, I'm going to do the half. Yeah. Nath, Archie and I are all doing the half so we can train together for it and stuff.
Yeah.
So that should be good. And then I'm thinking Launceston 10.
Three Musketeers.
Did you see what Nath ran yesterday? 66.14.
Broke your PB.
He broke my PB. Took 2 seconds off my PB. On Wangaratta as well. That is the shocking course to run that fast on. And he did it like a tempo run. I just said to him, just jog until it's 16K and then put the foot down. So he's a freak, that guy. He's going to have a big season over cross-country stuff. So anyway, I'm going to do all that. No marathon. Maybe I'm maybe tossing up Valencia late in the year. I liked the December marathon last year. Something about that. Then you just have 3 or 4 weeks off over Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you about this week's interview. Michael Marantelli, you know him, boys? You know Mara?
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
He has been around. He's been around for a long time, Michael Marantelli. Long-time Patreon supporter of ours as well. From nearly day one, I reckon. PBs 3:47. 14, I think he ran 14:20, but when we recorded this, it was 14:21, and he ran 2:20 with me at Melbourne that day. He finished about 10 seconds in front of me. Made a big jump in his marathon, though. He went from 2:24 to 2:20. He's also an AFL boundary umpire, one of the best in the country. Always spot him on TV. I think he's umpired the last 3 AFL Grand Finals. So we talk about how he balanced his training with that kind of job. And then, some good yarns about pro races. He's done a lot on the pro circuit as well, won a few sashes at Stawell. And, some good chats in there. Really enjoyed this chat with Mara, as we call him. So I hope the listeners get a lot out of this. And we're done, boys. See us next week. Nothing else to add?
Good week. No, I think we're good.
Same to you. Good luck with the injury, Moose.
Thank you. I'll be all right. Thanks.
You'll be right. All right. See us.
See ya. Australia's leading sports micronutrition brand, Pillar Performance, is leading the way when it comes to high-strength formulations to support running performance. Pillar's range is purposely formulated to support optimal recovery, elevate energy production, relieve joint inflammation, and boost immunity. Pillar has become the choice of Australian sport thanks to their formulation quality and batch testing program. Currently working with Ben St Lawrence, Izzy Bat-Doyle, and Riley Cox, along with more than 30 professional sporting teams across the country. Pillar's range is led by Motion Armour, a revolutionary joint inflammation and longevity formula, perfect for those with a high training load on the track, trails, or road. When it comes to recovery, their best-selling triple magnesium powder is leading the way, featuring 3 forms of bioavailable magnesium to optimise recovery, improve sleep, and have you backing up after every session. The Pillar team has an exclusive offer for Inside Running listeners. Head to their website and use the code INSIDERUN to receive a free sports bottle and travel tin, valued at $15.99 with any purchase. To redeem this offer, or for more information on Pillar Performance and their range of sports micronutrition, head to pillarperformance.com.au.
All right, this week's guest on the Inside Running podcast has impressive PBs and range with a 3:47 1,500 metres and a 2:20 marathon next to his name. He juggles his running with being an AFL boundary umpire who has umpired 262 AFL games and 5 grand finals. And I think he has won more handicap professional races than anyone else I know. Welcome to the Inside Running podcast, Michael Marantelli.
Cheers, Brady. Thanks for having me, and thanks for that intro.
Yeah, I was doing some research about you all day today. I've been watching some old professional races, a bit of tape on YouTube and things like that. So I'm looking forward to this chat.
What an exciting morning you've had.
I know. Tuesday's my favourite day of the week, get to do this kind of research. So, I was going down memory lane in a few of them there and really enjoying some research time here because we've known each other for a long time, Mara. I'm trying to think when we first, maybe early 2010s, 11, something like that. I remember racing you a few times.
Fierce rivals back in the day.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure. Hey, today is race day for you. You're prepping for the Box Hill Burn tonight. Your PB's 14:22. What does race day look like for you? And is that PB going to go down tonight?
Yeah, you put the pressure on asking me that. It's like, can we record 2 answers? One where I say, it's just a rust buster, and one where I say I'm in great shape, and then just pick whichever one comes out.
Pick the one, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the PB goes down. I think that's about where I'm at. Race day, not too much. Like most do these days, do a 15-minute shakeout in the morning. Grab some food, or lounge around and kind of do a bit of work here and there, and then get off to Box Hill well before start time, and then just get in watch Stewie run some fast time, get a bit of a jog in, and hopefully run pretty quick myself.
Do you still get nervous these days? Like you've been running at a pretty high level for a long time now. Like, do you get nervous on race day and start lines?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone does. I think you're probably not going to perform well if you don't. But probably manageable nerves. I'm not shitting myself on the start line. I'm feel confident and ready to go. But certainly if it means something to you, you should have a few nerves there.
Yeah, cool. So you want to throw at a time because this is going to go out after your run. So let's say, look in your crystal ball, 14:05, 14:10.
No, not that quick. I
reckon you can go that quick.
Thanks.
Your speed and your strength.
Support.
I think you're in that kind of shape.
I think 5K has always been a tough one. I think I either really like hurting a lot for a short amount of time, like a 1,500, or like a moderate level of hurt for a long time, like the marathon. 5K has always been a tough one for me to get right because I I've had plenty where I've tried to go out at like that 14:15, 14:10 sort of pace and been in incredible pain after 3K and the wheels have fallen off. So I think I seem to go better if I go 14:30 pace and try and kick it down.
So I agree with that though. Like I know Croaks and I did a bonus show once and we were talking about like in a 5K, you got to be feeling good at 3K. Like, because you can make up so much time in those last, especially that last 400, 800. All of a sudden you can peel 4 or 5 seconds off a lap and you've just, taken 10 seconds off your overall time.
Yeah, like I can probably, at someone at my level, I can probably close in close to 90 seconds, but I can probably, if I'm having a bad one, that can probably be, 1:45 for the last 600 instead of 90 seconds. So there's, 15 seconds right there.
Right there, yeah, it's a good point. And then, like, we were talking off air before, like, the tactics night, you're in the B race because the A race is absolutely loaded with Stewie and, all the fast guys that you mentioned before, but a huge field for the B race of guys who have run kind of 13:58 through to, like, 14:40-ish. Like, have you got a bit of a plan what's going to happen off the line? Because that could get messy.
Yeah, it could get messy. I think I see myself probably sitting somewhere in the middle. And hopefully just get that, hopefully it strings out really quickly and I just get that spot, a nice consistent pace in the middle relatively early. And then just, like 5K can be pretty boring if they've run well. Hopefully just stay in that same spot for the next 10 minutes and then reassess after that.
Use that speed to come home strong. Hey, as we do on this show, we go through the PBs. So I'll start with your 800, 155 back in 2014. Have I got that right?
I think, I think we'll talk about the pros, no doubt. I think the 800 is not really a fair indicator, but it is what it is. I think I was focused on the pros when I was running 800s at my best. So the amateur time is, I think that was at I think I was even upset with that one because I think we had no pace. It was at Melbourne Uni, and I think I opted out of running the mile champs that night to run that 800 and wasn't that happy with the result and thought I might have missed the chance to run pretty well in the mile champs at Vic Miler. So I was pretty filthy on that one, but that is the PB, and it's fair to say that'll be remaining the PB.
It's funny because I've got the same story. I had to fill out my the Herb Hedeman nomination today, the stall coming up in a few weeks, and it said their 800-metre PB, and I went to because I actually don't know what my PB is, and I looked on my IAAF profile, and it just got my season's best of 2 minutes, and I'm like, I swear I've run quicker than that, but I'm not sure when or where. And then I think I've definitely run quicker over the pro, like the handicap stuff. I think that's where my best work's done as well, over 800 metres, so I can definitely relate there.
But if Moose was on now, I'm sure he'd tell us to pull our heads in and stop talking about pros. So.
No, well, this is going to be an opportunity later on as well to kind of explain, because I feel like, well, maybe we can do a bit now because there's a lot of listeners, like you guys have mentioned pros and amateurs like a few times already here, but the professional and amateur running in Australia, you'll be able to correct me here because I know your family's got a lot of history in it, but it was one or the other back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, wasn't it? Like if you're an amateur runner and you went to the Olympics and you ran on the track and all those kind of things, you couldn't run for money. So there was the professional system, which was handicap races with bookies, things like that, prize money. So it was one or the other. So that's where this like pros versus amateurs kind of terminology come from. And then they lifted that.
It happened maybe some point in the 80s, I think, where they combined. But back in the day, the pros, it was a big deal and people kind of raced for legitimately big money, and the bookies were a big thing. Obviously these days it's relatively small fry, and you can do one or the other. But back in the day it was if you run in the pros, you certainly weren't going to Interclub and running an 800 on the weekend. You only got one choice.
Yeah, and now it's like, I think guys like Moose that you're talking about, like they see the pro stuff and they just get a bit of a chip on their shoulder because they think it's like not legit because you're not running the whole distance and things like that as well. But I'm sure we'll talk about some of the pro results that you've had a bit later on in the chat. But let's go to 1500. One of your most impressive PBs, I think, the 347 from 2016. It was in December. Was it at the Zatopek meet?
No, it was another Box Hill one. It was the miles just before Christmas.
Yeah. Who won it that day? Can you remember?
There was an American guy, actually, who might have been here to run Zatopek. I can't remember his name, but he was he's a pretty accomplished runner. I think must have been just before, it must have been just after, and maybe he was just going to have a hit out. And I think Clarkey actually paced. He'd Clarkie'd run the 800 earlier that night, and I think Rinaldi, his coach at the time, made him pace us for the first 600 or 800. And then this American guy took over and pretty much just ran even 60-second laps, and there's a few of us trying to hang on at that pace, and I kind of held on for most of it to run 3:47. I think Ben Buckley ran past me in the straight, so back when I used to be able to compete with him, now he's going to the Olympics. But I think he ran 3:47 that night as well.
And were you third?
I think I was either third or fourth, maybe one of the Knox guys was ahead of me as well. Yeah. It's a
good company there. 3K, 8:20. Any stories about that one? I assume it's like a Vic Miles Club, get on the train, go fast.
I was actually looking at all my PBs. It's like I've travelled a fair bit for races and stuff, but they all seem to be Vic Miles in Victoria pretty much. So maybe I should not bother wasting my time travelling for events. But I think that's just the November 3K Vic Miles.
Yeah, and then the 14:22 was this time last year, Box Hill Burn. I think Moose, what did he run that day? 14:23 or something? I reckon he was right here.
He ran 14:23, I think.
Yeah, okay. So you got him down the home straight as well, which is nice.
Exactly right.
And you guys had Liam Adams pacing you for a bit that day too, didn't you? Pacing your pack?
I think, Liam held with us for a bit, and then Moose was out in front of, and Liam left us, said, "You boys will be right," and went and helped Moose, who was by himself at the time, and then we ended up catching that group anyway.
Yeah, okay. And that was one of the ones where you felt all right at 3-4K and come home strong? Yeah.
Exactly right. I think that's, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, I think we were probably on 14:30 pace and then just kicked home the last K basically.
Yeah. And then the 10K, I've got you down at 30:11 from Bendigo, 2021. I was going to message you. I'm like, what race was this? Is this true?
No, it's at Aberfeldy, not Bendigo. Not sure
It's written. Have you noticed that on your profile as well?
I Googled myself, obviously. I did look at my time for this interview, and I did notice that inaccuracy.
I'm happy with that, because when I looked at it, I'm like, I never remember Marrow running this in Bendigo, and I'm like, maybe like a Vic Countries, but no, okay, I'm glad I wasn't wrong there, because that was confusing me.
Yeah, Zatopek B at Abbas last year, and I think Nick Baggett paces through 5K, going 15-minute pace, and then I think I found myself all alone, sort of battling away for those next 3K, slowing down a bit, and then Michael Kernahan came past and picked me up and took me through to the last lap, really, and I kind of kicked home over the top of him to miss the sub 30, but
get the win. Yeah, well, close to sub 30. Like, surely that's a bit of a goal now when you've got 30:11 next to your name. Yeah, probably a matter of time.
I haven't been embarrassed about the not having broken 30, but I think it's a psychological barrier as much as anything. It's it's obviously right on my limit, and every time I run a 10K, the goal is break 30, and then you always look. If you look at your watch after 5K and you're hurting a bit or you're off the pace, it becomes a bit disheartening. You're like, oh, what's the point if I'm not going to break 30 tonight?
And the maths are so easy as well. Like, if you know your three times tables, you know exactly where you are.
You can't trick yourself into, maybe it's looking better than it is.
The opportunities for 10Ks in Australia are also hard to break 30. Like, you kind of can't get a start in the Zatopek, unless you're running the 29:45. So it's like, okay, where do you go? And then maybe on the roads at Launceston, there's a good opportunity, but it's hard. I know Michael Kernahan, who you just spoke about, did it solo in that B grade Zatopek this year. I think he was 29:52 or something like that. I think he got under pretty easy in the end. So that's the other side of it. Like, where do you go and do it? Like, it's hard.
I was kicking myself a bit that I didn't do that one, but I didn't quite think I was ready, and I didn't think anyone was going to be able to do that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's amazing for someone at a similar level to us to be able to do that solo. It's not something I see myself doing. It was pretty good effort play.
Hopefully that event now takes because Steichen kind of had it for a while, like that kind of semi-elite or sub-elite kind of 10K race where you could, have a crack at that sub 30. And now, because Kernes has gone out and done it, I know it's the same thing. I had an athlete I coach run the Vic Countries, and because we thought no one would do the B grades Zatopek, and he ran 30:30 solo, and it's like, we knew that was going to be that quick. We would have put you in that one. But it's certainly a goal I'm sure you'll achieve pretty soon. Just getting the opportunity to do it will be the next thing. And I remember I had that PB, real similar PB for years and stuff as well, and always wanted to break 30. And then you do it and you're like, it's not actually that big of a deal. Like years and years, you're like, I just want to break 30. And then you ran I ran 29:34. I remember driving home and just being like, oh, well, life's still exactly the same.
Yeah. I'm in the whole scheme of things, I'm still a shit kicker.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, there's not a huge difference in the races you're going to get into, or you're not signing a contract the minute you dip under 30 or anything like that. The half marathon, 67:24. I reckon this is your weakest one. No offense, weakest PB.
That's fair.
You're okay with that if I make that comment? And I think it's your weakest one because half marathons are always in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And you've got a job as an AFL umpire, which is basically hard to do half marathons.
Yeah, mostly opportunities. I've probably only run a few, to be fair. And I think it's another COVID-related one. Since I've kind of focused a bit more on longer distances. I think that was from 2019. I don't think I've run a half marathon since, or maybe I ran the Hobart one, which is obviously a bit slower. So I think that's obviously plenty of room for improvement there.
Yeah, that was at the Gold Coast. Did you umpire that weekend? Like, how did you end up getting that? To happen?
So that would have been, I think I probably umpired on, there must have been a Thursday night game, I reckon. I must have umpired that. And then the half was on the Sunday. So I probably had the Thursday to Sunday break. So pretty generous. Yeah.
Yep. And then the marathon, December this year, 2:20:33, 7th position at the Melbourne Marathon. About 10 seconds in front of me, I think. I got a good view of it. We had some fun out there. Your second marathon, you ran 2:24 before that over in Austria, I think, in 2019. So a good 4 minutes off your best. Tell us about your thoughts on that performance.
Importantly, beat the bloke that was 8th, so that was good.
There wasn't much between us three at the end there. We're all just that same gap between 6, 7, 8.
Well, that pack held together for a pretty long time. So, that was good. It was a brilliant day. Like, I think we've all spoke about at the time. It was everyone's first race for such a long time. The vibe at Melbourne Marathon was pretty unreal. It was kind of it was before all the cases kicked off here as well, so everyone was feeling pretty safe about things as well. So it was just brilliant to be out there. And as we've mentioned before, we held a pretty consistent sort of just about 2:20 pace, a bit slower for pretty much the whole way. And couldn't really go any quicker at the end, but I was kind of holding it together all right. And I think I ran basically even splits the whole way. So, would a perfect world would have been under 2:20, but, it was only my second marathon, and obviously took a decent amount of time off the first one. So, I was certainly pretty happy with the effort. Yeah,
you must have been, 1 second positive split or pretty much spot on even?
It must have been 70-15 and then 70-18 maybe.
Yeah, so even. And your shape going in, I remember Zach and Newman called it probably 6 weeks out, and he just sent me screenshots of your Strava pretty much every 3 or 4 days. He's like, Mara is in shape. Like, he is going to smack this out of the park at Melbourne in a few weeks' time. Like, he picked it early, and you must have been really happy with your preparation leading into that.
Yeah, certainly again, kind of ties in with the umpiring. The move from a Melbourne Marathon being October to December certainly helped me a lot. I was kind of always probably going to do Melbourne, the marathon that is, but just because there was no other races with COVID. So if I wanted to do a marathon, it was going to be it. But it was going to be, pretty much on the back of the footy season within a week or two. So it was going to be pretty tough to train for it properly. So, when got the extra, 14 weeks or whatever it was, it meant that I could do a proper marathon block, which was basically my first marathon block I'd done before. And, it was, allowed me to have the pretty ideal preparation. And, I did like, as a relative novice to marathon running, doing a few of those, what looks like super sessions on Strava. They obviously, get a lot of kudos and look pretty good. But, doing the 5x5K or, some 38K run with session at the end and all that sort of business, I found it gave me heaps of confidence knowing that, I can handle this distance. I can run this pace on tired legs and that sort of thing. So, I was relatively confident, even though I hadn't done it before. I was pretty confident I could slice a big time off my previous marathon and go close to that 2:20 mark.
Yeah, and did you self-coach that build-up, or did you have someone helping you, or how did you come up with that? Because it was pretty you'd nearly call it standard now, wouldn't you? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people are doing the same kind of marathon workouts leading in, whereas 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not. Like maybe Josh Harris was the only guy doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Moose kind of dabbling in it a bit. And then, now it's kind of like, well, everyone kind of does the longer reps with the float in between and then workouts at the end of long runs. And, where did it come from for you?
Yeah, I think it's mostly just from that, like, the sharing of knowledge now, everyone looking at stuff on Strava. And obviously you can't just, the worst thing you can possibly do is just look at someone else's Strava and copy it. But, you take in all of that information and then adjust it to yourself, really, to come out with, and then, you do one and you see how that feels and you make adjustments and all that sort of thing. And then, so I've been coached by Mark Hitworth for, since I started running properly. He's a bit of a pro legend, focused more on the track. And so, I kind of guess I'm technically still coached by Hippo and, still involve him in my decisions and, consult with him talking about training. But, in terms of training for marathon, stuff like that, it's kind of, mostly just, self-coached with guidance from Hippo here and there when I ask him.
Yeah. And were you doing those workouts solo, like, by yourself in Melbourne?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I might have got, one of my umpiring mates, Shane Thiele, who's a bit older, a pretty good runner. Back in the day, I'd be like, I'm going to do this on, Saturday. If you're looking for a session, come down. And, I might have run 2 hours before I was doing 1K reps and then he'd just jump in for the reps. Or, if I was doing 5x5K, he might run the first, 2K, first 2 lots of 5 with me or something like that. But primarily by myself, yeah.
Yeah. So can you walk us through, like, what did a week, because we have a lot of listeners like interested, you jump from 224 to 220, second marathon, hilly course at the end there as well. It's probably worth 217, 218, I reckon. So, but tell us about what would a Monday through to, and I know every week's different, but a kind of Monday through to Sunday as kind of standard as you can possibly put it for me.
So for that block, I was, obviously at that point, I'm not worrying about footy. I'm not worrying about training for any track races or anything. So it's pure marathon.
Running only, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was doing 2 sessions a week, just standard Tuesday, Friday, and long run Sunday. Tuesday might have been, still so not necessarily on the track, but track type reps. Might be doing, 10 by 800 or, 1K reps or, 2400s or whatever, that sort of stuff, just off relatively short breaks. So still kind of what you'd call speed work for a marathon. Friday would be more your standard fartlek or threshold. So again, pretty standard stuff. And then Sunday, just your probably long run, getting up to 2.5 hours. And I tend to get a bit quicker in my long runs and, kind of start at 4:30 pace and be running 3:45s, 3:50s by the end of it. And then, so that would typically say that's 1 week. And then the next week I might do similar sort of Tuesday session. But then on that Friday, might make that the real marathon. So every 2 weeks I was kind of doing like the real big marathon session. We're talking your 6K, 5K, 4K, 3K, 2K, 1K, something like that. Or, your 5x5K or, you run 2 hours and then 10 by K or something like that. Sort of the runs that get up towards close to that 40K mark.
Yeah. And you're doing more on tired legs as well, aren't you? Like I saw some of your Ks, kind of tapping out at, 200 Ks a week, some of those weeks there. So there's a lot of easy jogging in between to tire the legs. That's
basically doubling most days. And I probably was pretty consistently around the 180 mark. I did run a 200 plus K week 1 week, but that was pretty much just because I got to 195 and thought, well, I might never do this again. So I've got to go out for a half-hour jog to get 200 in.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Don't go chasing Ks, but when you're that close, you have to.
Yeah, tick it off. Is that the first 200K week you've done?
Yeah. It might well be the only one ever.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And then how many weeks did you do, like a 12 or a 14 week kind of build around that? How long did you have since like the AFL Grand Final over in Perth through to, for you to be able to click into like full-time running kind of mode because you're always juggling the footy umpiring?
Yeah, I think
nearly year round.
I think it was 14 weeks from that grand final day to marathon day. So it was kind of a perfect amount of time. And I had kind of, done some when the marathon was potentially going to be in October. I had kind of July and August, I had started to do some of the longer work, but I was still kind of juggling with footy and still, umpiring is kind of a bit more speed-based, more like a 1,500 metre type training. So still kind of combining with that and kind of focused on that. So I was had done some longer stuff prior to that, but then, once it was announced that marathon was going to be later and, kind of focused on footy finals through September, I was kind of have a break through September and just purely focus on umpiring. And then, as I said, had that full 14 weeks to focus on focus on the marathon.
Did you have any favourite workouts? Any of those super sessions your favourite? Like you looked at it coming up on the calendar?
The 5x5K is a fave, I think. The risk is that I think I did it pretty well this time around, so I might have to avoid it next time because you're probably setting yourself up for failure.
Just compare yourself, yeah.
Try and do it faster each time. But it is funny, talking about Strava. I didn't put sometimes I put my warm up and my warm down in the same thing as sometimes I cut it. And I think the couple of weeks earlier, the super session I'd done, I'd left the warm up and warm down on there. So it was like 40K. And it was nowhere near as good. It was I didn't feel great. Didn't think it was that great. And everyone was getting around me saying, "Oh, how good's this? What a session," and stuff like that. And then the really good one I felt I'd done, I was, nothing from anyone. I thought, it's just, all you got to do is leave your warm up and warm down on there and everyone gets around it.
It is very biased towards that, isn't it? And I always find when I do good track sessions, say that, I think I did 20 by 400, same thing, averaged 68 off 30 seconds. And you're that's a hard workout to be able to do that. And then you put it on, you get stuff, all kudos, no comments. People just don't get the whole track side of things, the shorter distance stuff, I think. But then you go out for a 37K long run, maybe average 4-minute K pace. Yeah. And then, it just blows up on Strava and you just get a heap of kudos. So, I can relate to that one as well. Would you do anything different on race day?
It's an interesting one because I think if I did something different, the risk is that we might not have run 220, we might have run 223. So the obvious answer would be to go, if we had gone out a bit harder, as you say, we kind of split 70-15. If that was 69-45, I'd probably like to say we would have been able to come home similar pace and, probably run that 220. But, you never know. And I was happy with the performance in the end. So, because I kind of just felt for me anyway, I felt like I was running that same pace. And at the end of the race, I couldn't go any faster, but I kind of was just able to hold that pace. And you think, if we had just run a little bit quicker early, maybe I still would have been holding that same pace. But, could have also blown up and been a terrible outcome.
Yeah, because I got that feeling as well. I thought we blew up more than we did. It wasn't until I looked at the splits afterwards. I'm we kind of just held the same pace from that kind of 32 through 42. It didn't drift as much as I thought it was going to. But it's good because you got that on the board now. I think when you jump from 224 to 220 and now it's go overseas, attack one, jump, go through a bit quicker, roll the dice a bit more.
Exactly.
Whereas, if you did go quicker, blow up, finish with 223, it's not really one on the board because it's only a bit quicker than what you ran before. Have you got another one penciled in coming up?
Well, I think, as, will be the answer for me. I'm probably looking at November, December marathons, which fit in nicely so that I can have that, which, that would mean nothing in Australia really. Because Melbourne's back to October again, and I think January Hobart course is probably not that fast and probably a bit too close to the start of the footy season. So potentially looking at I'd love to go to Japan and run something over there in December, or but I think Fukuoka got canned, so
it's done. What about Valencia?
Well, that was going to be my next answer. Valencia probably looms as the most likely outcome, I'd say.
They used to, I know when Croaks was going to do it as well, they had a sub-elite program. But I don't know, I've got a feeling it was under 220 to get into it.
It's 220 incentives or something, I remember you guys talking about.
He was he was going to get paid euros or something I think to get into it, maybe you got to break 220, and then if you run a PB, you get a cash reward kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. But that's the thing, you're close to that now. It's hopefully just slide into those programs. But it gives you an opportunity now. I know Berlin, to get on that sub-elite start line, it was 223 or something the years we kind of did it. So, all of a sudden you can kind of get into races now with that 220 instead of the 224. Yeah. Let's go to the AFL boundary umpiring because I'm interested in because this is your job. like this is what you do for a living. Overseas listeners, Australian footy is like the biggest sport in Australia. Surely it is, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think it's fair to say.
It's on TV, like kids love it at school. Everyone kind of loves it, especially in the southern states of Australia. So Michael's job is to run around the boundary of the oval. When the ball goes out of bounds, you throw it over your head back into play. Correct?
You make it sound very glamorous.
Well, yeah, you blow the whistle to say it's gone over the line. You collect the ball, you throw it in over your head, and then when a team kicks a goal, your job's to get the ball. You don't have to go into the crowd or anything, because we're talking about 80, 90,000 people in some of these crowds. So somehow they get a ball back to you, and you've got to take it back to the middle for play to restart again. Have I done a good job of summarising that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah.
And you probably cover
we can make umpiring really complicated, or we can make it simple.
Yeah.
So that's.
And you'd cover 20K a game going up and down?
Probably 16, 17 more now. Bit more speed work involved now, but yeah.
Yeah. And now do you share a side? There's two of you per side? Yeah, so
we now have 4 boundary umpires on the field at once, so 2 on each side. So the idea being that, for the most part, the ball's in between you, and you have 2 sets of eyes on every decision, and you're still kind of moving back and forth like that, and it's traveling 16, 17 Ks, but yeah, a lot of it more at pace now than when it was old style, just 1 on each side. It would be pretty much more of an endurance test. Yeah, and I guess how many AFL boundary umpires are there, in this kind of squad that you're a part of? So we have 43 in Australia on the AFL list, and 23 of them are in Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how long did you have to, were you in the VFL kind of squad before the AFL? How long did it take you to get to this level of it?
So I started umpiring when I was about 15, and started at Essendon District Footy League. So it's the local footy league. Umpired there for two and a half seasons, and then you kind of, like anything, someone sees it and thinks, you probably look like you half know what you're doing, a bit of talent there, so you kind of get invited to trial at the VFL. So I went down there when I was 17, and that includes the under 18 comp, VFL reserves, and VFL, and you kind of progress from there. And I think I had 6 years there, and then got on the AFL list when I was 23.
Yeah, and when you're at the VFL level, that's not your job at that stage. Does it come to, once you get selected to be an AFL guy, that's a massive difference income-wise and professionalism, all that kind of stuff.
And I mean, it's still a part-time gig, really. You still, you're probably not. You could do it as your job, but I mean, it's still a part-time gig, and most of the guys have jobs they're doing on the side as well. But yeah, it's probably the best part-time job you can have. And as you said, the VFL is still very, very much just running around for pocket money. But it's a bit of a significant step up once you reach the AFL.
When you're saying part-time job, though, you'd make, I'm just guessing it, you don't have to tell me how much you make, but as a yes or no, you'd make more than most professional runners in Australia?
Yeah, that would be fair, which is probably a bit of an indictment on where athletics sits in Australia or in the world even. And as you say, probably just shows you how big AFL football is, that, those officiating it can, make more money than our very best runners, which is, probably a shame, but, obviously beneficial for umpires like myself.
Yeah. And then tell me about the behind the scenes stuff. So how many trainings do you have to attend a year? How, I'm sure, you probably only get a small window of time away from the training over the 12-month calendar year.
Yeah, it's changed a lot though in the last few years. We have coaching where we're sitting in meetings, and then we have running sessions, which used to be Tuesday, Thursday nights, much the same as everyone's training, and then games on Saturdays and various other meetings in between. But with COVID, obviously, they can't really have a bunch of guys hanging around together, and then potentially not being able to umpire. So when COVID hit, we kind of had to stop group training, and we're only just getting back into it now. 2 and a bit years later, and we're down to one night a week, at least for the moment, and probably. I think they've probably realised that you can just set the programs, give everyone a GPS, and they can for the most part sort themselves. So at the moment we're only meeting on one night a week for group training. And it was just like I say that it's definitely part-time because the time commitment, even though you're constantly working on your craft, it's, definitely time for other things in your life as well. But in terms of, I have to be at umpiring training, also can't be down at running training. It's kind of from January through to the end of the season.
Yeah, and I know I think it was the Collingwood Classic last year, bumped into you warming up and you just come, because you have to go, don't you? Like, it's not, you can't be like, hey, there's this race on at Collingwood. I really want to do a quick 5K. I remember talking to you warming up and you're like, I've already done umpiring training tonight. I might be a bit heavy here. Like it's, you rock up, then we guess there's someone setting the workouts. Like, even though you're probably the fastest guy there by far, you still got to do the workouts and get through those. And then you kind of fit the running in during footy season when you can.
Yeah, spot on. I think, that Collingwood race you referenced, I'd just come off that Box Hill run, the 5K PB, and I thought, I may as well have another crack. Thursday night at umpiring training, often don't do too much. I'm not umpiring until the Sunday. May as well have a crack. But I kind of realised after about 2K into that race that the 150s or whatever we'd done that night probably had taken a little bit out of the legs.
And I think it was the same thing at Gels Park Relay. 2021 as well. I remember walking into that race with Archie and Nathan, and you'd parked the car as well, and walking in with you, and I'm like, hang on, I'm pretty sure I saw you on TV last night. Like, you'd literally umpired a footy game, in front of 80,000 people on the Friday night, live TV, going up and down, and then the next day fronting up to Gels Park Relay for a relay league 6K cross country.
I've got a ready-made excuse ready to go whenever I run poorly, so it's a great system. Yeah,
this is a bit of a coincidence. The two times I saw you last year that you had this excuse ready to go. But it must be like, and then the weekends, like you're just jumping on a plane every second weekend. They send you interstate. Like, how often do you have to go interstate to umpire a game?
Yeah, probably tend to umpire mostly in Melbourne, or at least normally pre-COVID. But we probably travel here and there, probably umpire, half a dozen games interstate for the year, and then potentially finals as well if they're interstate. It can kind of, you can't plan your weekends too far ahead sometimes. You have to just, I'll come to this, but, I might be umpiring. So, that sort of thing. So, it's, little sacrifices here and there you have to make. But, we're well looked after as well.
Yeah. And quickly on the 2021 season and the 2020 season during COVID, like the sport still went ahead. Maybe 2020 first up, did they just get you guys on planes and out of here?
Kind of. So we how did that all unfold? We thought there was a bit of talk about hubs and all that sort of stuff going into it, and then it happened very quickly. There was, whatever the case numbers in Victoria at the time, maybe they were like 40 or 50, and then 2 days later they were 100, and then that was on the weekend. I remember umpired in Geelong on that Saturday, and by the Sunday night we're on a plane to the Gold Coast. On Monday morning. So on Saturday we didn't know we were going anywhere. On Monday we were at the Gold Coast, and kind of went thinking we're probably going to be there for 4 or 5 weeks and then reassess. And I spent close to 4 months away in the end. So, sort of packed for a month and came back 4 months later.
Just living out of your hotel, like suitcase kind of thing?
Pretty much, yeah. It was, we were stayed we were well looked after by the AFL, though. They looked after us. We were staying at Royal Pines on the Gold Coast, the golf course there, and I'm a bit of a golf junkie. So, there was certainly no complaints from myself there.
You were locked in and stuff though, weren't you? Like, did I see somewhere you did 20K around like an oval one day?
Obviously the first 2 weeks we were up there, we we're in just the host. Well, it's not quite the same as when you're doing quarantine. Guys coming back from the Olympics and they're stuck in their own room, that sort of thing. We had to stay within the compound of the resort, which all your mates are there. It's a 4 or 5 star resort or whatever, and you can't go down the street or whatever. But other than going for a long run, everything else is fine to do within. It did meant that I probably that day I ran 20K or whatever around a 400 or 500 metre loop. Not ideal, but very small sacrifice.
Yeah, and then 2021, like same thing. They got you guys over to Perth.
Yeah, so I went to Tassie first actually. So yeah, the finals were going to be in another hub situation, just because we in Victoria, we had no crowds here at the time. So they shipped us all off to some to Perth or some to Adelaide, some to Tasmania. I went to Tassie, and we were. That was proper quarantine for those few days, except for the game. And then from there, flew across with GWS to Perth, and then had another three or 4 weeks there until the grand final. And we were allowed out after we did our first 2 weeks away. We were allowed to live amongst the community in Perth. So that was good. And Perth was obviously no COVID there at the time, so it was a free for all in terms of restrictions and stuff like that. So I loved that time away. I mean, I probably should be careful saying that. My
wife.
I left my wife at home during those times. So, but I did have a great time, and it was certainly where, especially in 2020. As I kind of mentioned, obviously my wife was at home and she's a doctor and going to work and then coming home and then living in lockdown while I was living it up on the Gold Coast. So we're certainly well aware of how lucky we were to be in the situation we're in. We only got the AFL to thank for that.
How many PCRs did you do over the last couple of years? You got a count on it? You would have had a few up the nose?
Absolute truckload, yeah. I mean, we had probably a couple of weeks, so... I'll be getting close to triple figures, I reckon, by now.
Yeah, and then, just what's it like when you're on the ground there as well? Like, umpiring those games, 100,000 people in the stands, it must be pretty surreal getting kind of the best view of the house.
Yeah, that's it. Well aware that 100,000 people cheering, they're not cheering bloke throwing the ball over his head. Don't worry about that. But you can't help to but enjoy that atmosphere and kind of ride that adrenaline and just soak it up. And I've always grown up loving footy, so it's brilliant to just to be out there and see those moments up close. It's but as they say, it's the best seat in the house.
Back to the pro running. Let's go there, mate. So I think you were into this early. You were into this because your family connections? I think was your dad a sprinter, Brian?
Pretty
400.
Pretty much. He was So my grandfather was actually a pro runner way back in the day, and he was a sprinter. He ran second in the Stall gift way back when. My dad Brian was more of a 400 metre specialist, but he won a couple of races at Stall as well, and was reasonably handy over the 400 metre distance. They probably don't quite have as much leg speed as them. But I sort of grew up around running. Didn't necessarily run myself until I kind of got into umpiring actually. But I was kind of well aware of running and kind of went to Stall for our Easter holidays every year and all that sort of business. So running, as far as I knew, it was growing up. It was all about the pro running, not any amateur running or anything like that.
Can you remember your first pro win, the season? Where was it? So these meets kind of travel around. They travel around all of, there's some in South Australia and I think different states as well. But it's pretty. I'd say Victoria is the most dominant state.
And a lot of regional.
Every different weekend there's a different gift on somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you remember some early wins?
My first one was at Ballarat. I remember that. I won the mile at Ballarat. I think we used to. At the time, I was kind of a young guy, and Hippo grew. We always used to we were a bunch of guys, most of single, early 20s or whatever, and we used to love this. We train hard, then we go some regional town on the weekend and race hard, and then go out afterwards, have a few beers, and it was just, it's what made me fall in love with running. Just that whole vibe of racing and travelling and having fun was just brilliant. But I think Ballarat was my first win, I probably had way too much handicap and took advantage of that. But I guess that is pro running.
Yeah, and that group you talk about, that's like a group of 25, 30 guys. It used to be, I remember when I dabbled in it for a while there, it was intimidating racing you guys because there might be a mile race and there might be, 30 people in the race, but 10, 15 of you guys are from the same training group. And you're like, well, this guy next to me is, training partners with the guy who's 10 meters in front of me, who's training partners with the guy who's 50 meters in front of me. Like, is the guy at the front going to try to slow it for the guy at the back to, go too hard, or what's going to, like, you used to always think, I know we did anyway, we only had like a small stable, like 2 or 3 of us, but it's like, what are these guys going to do? Like this, it was really intimidating racing you guys because you had so many in your kind of stable there.
It was fun. We did probably did like being the big fish in the small run of small pond of pro running, but we loved it at the time, and as I said, I mean, it's probably just there's a reason why I love running is because of those early years and running the pros, and I know like you guys have. Well, not so much you, but the other guys have shit on pro running a little bit sometimes, and there's obviously some bad elements about it where guys are dodging the handicapper and not performing at their best all the time. That obviously does happen, but at its purest form, I think pro running is just a great concept. The idea that everyone has an equal chance to win, and it's just whoever performs the best on their day, they're the one that wins. I mean, that idea is brilliant, and you've got the ability to race someone like Stewie, even if you're just a battler at the front. Like, I mean, that sort of concept, it's brilliant. There's a reason why the Stall Gift gets TV coverage every year, while we can't get our national championships on TV. So I think there is something about that. There is something that appeals to the public, and there's a reason why it's been successful for so long.
Yeah, well put. And it is, it's entertaining to do as well. Like, they're kind of fun races. Like, when you're fit and you're like, okay, I know this guy's going to go out hard, but I don't want to catch him in the first lap. I want to catch him with the bell. Like, things like you got to, what I learned about it is you got to learn how to race. Because when you go to amateur races, like, Vic Miles Club or whatever, the pace is set, you jump in, pretty much hold on. There's not much thinking involved. You hold on for as long as you can. If you feel good with 200 meters to go, you empty the tank. And you see it when the guys like Stewie and that go to do the pro races, maybe not so much Stewie because he's been pretty successful at it, but the Herb Hedeman, the one that Croaks and Moose and I are doing in a few weeks, that was always the most obvious one, because a whole lot of guys who have never done pro races before would enter that race and then get their handicaps. And you look at the handicaps and you go, this guy should win easy, this guy should be second, this guy would be third.
Yeah.
But then once the gun goes, it's like they don't know what they're doing because they're so used to being in time trial-based races. They either go way too hard early, blow to pieces, and the grasses too, like all these pro races are on the grass, so that you can't run the same pace on them. So sorts people out. And then, there's so many people who haven't been able to transition when they've tried to jump across to it.
I think it teaches you how to win as well. It's, like tactics, a lot of those guys you're talking about who've probably, been in A races all their life and, finished 7th to 10th, in the middle of these packs the whole time, kind of going with philosophy of just hanging on in race, which, is obviously something to be said for just trying to run as quick as you can. But, I think, as our better runners, trying to win races on the international scene and stuff, like actually, learning how to win races is what running's about. So, I think encouraging that sort of attitude is pretty good.
And how many did you win over? How many sashes you got at home? That's another thing we haven't touched on. You get a sash every time you win a professional race.
I think
you got them up on the wall there. Where are you looking?
No, there's none on the wall there, actually. I think they're all just hidden in the cupboard somewhere, unfortunately.
How many do you reckon you've got, though? 50?
Look, I'm not too sure. I've probably won probably over 30, I think. I had a decent winning record in the pro running scene.
And the good thing was you'd do that and then you'd still jump on the track. So it's like, because people get a bit dirty on, this guy always does the stuff on the pro stuff and then never gets to run the track. But you got the best of both worlds. You're like, well, if you're going to bag me out for running pros, I'll do Vic Miles as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I certainly, as I got better, I certainly did. It's fair to say when I started, I was only running the pros. And, probably won more races because I wasn't running the amateurs. But, as I got better and kind of became more aware of the running opportunities out there and, wanted to run as fast as I possibly could, I certainly wanted to run, your Vic Miles and that as well. But I was probably, in terms of pro running, I was probably lucky in that I kind of started racing at the same time I started training for running. So I was young, so I was getting better at the same time. so I was kind of always being the handicapper, in that, I'd win a race and come back in handicap, but I was young and improving, so I was able to improve and win another race 3 months later.
Yeah. What was your most proudest win? What was your biggest win? We also haven't mentioned that the pro handicap running prize money is like significantly bigger. Well, it kind of doesn't exist in amateur running. So, most races there'll be minimum $500 first prize, up to maybe
sometimes. I mean,
up to $2.5, $3,000.
Sometimes, but also I think you have to remember that no one's making a great deal unless you're a sprinter winning the stock. You're probably not making too much money from it when you take into account.
You're making a lot more than the guys driving down the Vic Milers or Shield or anything like that.
Though. Yeah, exactly right. Biggest win. I won at Stall a few times.
How many? Twice? 3 times?
3 times, but. Probably I haven't actually won a race there for a long time, so they'll probably offer a slightly bigger handicap. So I think probably won a 800 at Bendigo off a reasonably tight mark, which is probably what I remember the most, because I don't even think I won my heat, and I probably didn't really deserve to win, but I managed to pull it out in the final, and that was probably the second biggest 800 behind Stoll. So that win was pretty special for me at the time.
The Ray Foley Memorial, I think
that's
exactly. Called. You do the heat in the morning at about 10:30 a.m. and then you come back at about 9:30 p.m. and go for the final.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Tight, no straights on that. Oh, there's a kind of a straight down the front there, but you feel like you're running on a bend the whole way on that grass track as well.
That was a brilliant track, though. That was the fastest grass track out there. That's
where I started running that track. That's where my old coach was when I was 15, 16. But that track was only in that condition for about 2 weeks of the year. Yeah. It was like running the paddock year round. But I'm glad you enjoyed it for those times you were there. And then I want to put you on the spot. Like, how can we make this connection better between the two? Like, you're a guy who jumps in both of them, but what would you do if you're in charge of Athletes Victoria or Athletes Australia or the Victorian Athletic League to kind of merge them together?
It's a tough one, because I know the Victorian Athletic League have really tried to capture as many of these type of runners as possible. I know they've gone down to Vic Miles and the A and B race and handed out flyers and that sort of stuff to encourage guys to run the herb or to run just any. Giving them, free rego for first year vow runners and all that sort of business. But I just can't seem to hold them. And I think perhaps it is that initial, with handicap running, you often get a pretty tight mark when you start until they kind of get a look at you. And it's kind of overcoming that where, they're going to get beaten the first few times they run probably. And then, unfortunately, most guys go, "Oh, I'm not making any money here, not really enjoying it, not running at time, so what's the point?" And that's fair, but I think if they stuck it out, they might realise that they can have a pretty good time running the pros as well. So, in answer to your question, I'm not sure what the answer is. I think, it's good now that I think everything's on live stream. Even the pros is on live stream now. You can watch it on YouTube. So the more people are viewing each type of event, and they kind of get a vibe for it and understand how it works. I think that's, it can only be beneficial. So hopefully it's just more understanding of each other will hopefully lead to people running both.
What about the flip side of it, like the money in pro running? How does some of that get to amateur running? Like the Box Hill, the Box Hill Burn's going to be tonight. Stewie's probably going to run in winning in 13:10. Adelaide Invitation was a couple of weeks ago. Guys running 13:30. Probably
I guess the answer
losing
to that
money.
Is sponsors.
So how come the pro athletes can get them so easy?
And my guess is that the reason pro running can get sponsored, not that they get it easy, but they certainly have a lot more luck getting sponsors. My guess is that the tradition of, like, a lot of them, those gift meetings have been running for years and years, and they probably go back to the same sponsors year after year, and they're happy to keep piling money into it. And also the fact that they are in regional areas, and so the whole town gets behind it, and they're willing to support it. So, that's probably the reason why, the same person's probably sponsored the gift at Bendigo for year after year, and, the people of Bendigo probably support that business because of it. And so I don't know, maybe some of these amateur meetings need to be held in regional towns. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe that's the best way to get a sponsor.
And much bigger crowds, and like they feel like you're going to a community festival for the weekend or something like that. So yeah,
but then you still got to be able to attract the runners and make them. They're got to be willing to travel, which is not necessarily the case.
What about the? I know your family's got a big history in like the gambling side of things as well. I think was it your grandfather who was one of the bookies?
Yeah, my grandfather, was a pretty big bookie back in the day, mostly obviously focused on, it was for horses, but he, given our involvement in running and stuff, he'd, come down to the running as well. And, my uncle was similar sort of story. So, there's plenty of sort of betting background with the Marantelli family name.
He's massive in the UK now, isn't he, a brother? Is that right?
That's
one of your brothers,
uncles,
is cousins.
One of my dad's cousins. Marantelli name. There's plenty of betting connections there, but he's pretty big time in the UK with gambling over there.
Do you think we'll see that come into amateur running? Like, is there just not enough money there?
I just don't think that. I think athletics is either fortunately or unfortunately is probably always going to be a pretty niche sport, and I'm just not sure that watching guys run lap after lap around a track, whether it's particularly exciting for the general public. Maybe marathon running where you can highlight the town they're running around and interview a celebrity or whatever at the same time. Maybe that has more mass appeal and therefore potentially can attract some of that sort of money from gambling and whatnot. But I don't know. I think it's pretty difficult.
And we saw a kind of a bit at the Olympics. Like I remember when Pete Bowl made the final of the 800, like Sports Better doing all these promotions about, will he be winning at the Bell or will he finish top 5 or 6? Like we saw it a bit there. And it kind of does just roll around once every 4 years when the Olympics gets the attention. All of a sudden, all of us at home who follow the sport, we think we're like expert gamblers. And then we end up losing money for 2 weeks.
Bookmakers don't miss an opportunity to try and get some new customers. So, if they thought they could get a few athletic punters signed up, they'll probably take that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. What about your thoughts on the sport in general, mate? Like I give you a magic wand. What are some of the things you'd change?
Oh, geez, you really are putting me on the spot.
I ask this question all the time. I know you listen and support the show, so you should have known this one's coming. What would you change? You're Sebastian Coe for the day, head of IW or World Athletics. What do you think needs to happen?
I don't know. Well, first of all, you got to do something about you got to probably police the drugs in sports situation a little bit better. I know I kind of watch I barely watch the high level performances, the really truly high level performances, because I sit there and I go, do I really think that's believable or not? So, that's probably the big issue that all endurance sports are going to suffer from. And, that's unfortunate, but that's probably just the way it is. I don't know. It's $1 million question. If I knew the answer, then I'd probably be doing it or trying to work out how to do it. But it's brilliant now that, I can sit back and watch any sort of event these days, and that's got to be good for the sport. If there's live streams popping up here and there for every event, and that's the way to spread the sport. But I mean, the same token with problems with that, we couldn't even watch the Tokyo Marathon on the weekend. So,
which is crazy that you can watch a Victorian Athletic League or a Vic Milers Club or Box Hill Burn tonight, and I'll be able to watch that, but I can't watch Kipchoge run around Tokyo. And I think there needs to be just more. Just consistency across. I wish there was just one broadcast partner for all the marathon majors, and then the next tier down you had FlowTrack saying we'll take all those ones or whatever it is. If it's not big enough for a commercial network, then someone should at a lower level surely should be able to put it on a stream somewhere for us. But do you know much about the business of that kind of thing?
Not really. Only through one of the other umpires, Lockie Rayner, is the man behind Athletics Exclusive. So I kind of just hear bits and pieces from what he says, and he's done great work, kind of spreading the sport with those streams. So I think just the more sort of entrepreneurs like that create those sort of things, the better.
Yeah, because I was talking to my mate Christian over in Norway, and he was, because they'll sometimes buy the broadcast to then do the commentary for it for the Norwegian audience. And I was trying to get out of him like how much it costs to do, because someone like Lockie Rayner could say, well, he'll buy Tokyo Marathon or whatever it is, and it's a $2.50 pay-per-view kind of thing, like we saw with the Sound Running meet yesterday. And it's like, well, here's a really easy system. If you want to watch it, it's cost you $2.50. So many people would pay that on a Sunday afternoon to sit down, get a couple of Australians to commentate it, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone wins. But I'm not, it could cost like $20,000 to buy. I don't know how much actually happens. Maybe you'll charge more than $2.50. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how that, because from what I can gather, no one purchased it for Tokyo Marathon in Australia. Is that what you get it? Like KO look at it and say, nah, Flow Tracker, like, nah, Eurosport's like, we don't give it to Australia. Like, yeah.
And then, I guess, the little guys that are prepared to do it, they, can't get that meeting with, whoever they have to get it with to be able to do that sort of thing. So,
yeah, interesting. All right, mate, last question for you. What book's on the bedside table at the moment? What are you reading?
I'm not much of a reader.
Okay. What are you watching then? Netflix?
Mostly fiction I read, but no, I did read the most recent book I read was actually called Commander-in-Chief, which if you're in the very unique position Venn diagram where you like politics and golf, then it's about Donald Trump and how he cheats at golf. So the very, very niche area, which I happen to fall into, then it's a good read.
Beautiful, mate. Well, to give us some other races so the Inside Run podcast audience can look up your result from the Box Hill Burn when you'll run about, I'm going to go 14:10 to 14:12 tonight. It's going to be fast.
Hopefully.
It's going to be fast. The wind's going to die down and it's going to be quick. So they're going to see that result when they go back and check the results after they hear this interview. But what else have you got coming up they can keep an eye on you?
Well, it's kind of, I've actually ventured about a million races this week. I've put my name down to run 1,500 at Box Hill, not Box Hill, wherever that is, on Vic Milers on Thursday night as well. So, I mean, the focus this week is obviously the 5K, and then I'll see if I feel like running the 1,500 on Thursday. And then, as luck would have it, we're going away to Sydney this weekend anyway, just for a bit of a weekend away before the footy starts. And but I'll see what running events are on this weekend, and the National 3K's on there. So I've entered that as well. So 3 races this weekend. I'm not sure I'll run all 3, but I'll start with tonight and see where I go from there. And then after that, it's probably mostly footy season. And if I can sneak in National 5K or another 1,500 or whatever here or there, then I probably will. But other than that, I'll probably be looking for a 10K a week, Lonnie 10K or something, if I can get a week off in footy in June or whatever.
Yeah. What about Easter Monday? Stall?
Yeah.
Would you be umpiring? There's a big game that day, isn't it? Geelong Hawthorn.
Yeah, I umpired that game last year. So potentially could be umpiring, but obviously there's lots of footy that weekend. So also a chance I can umpire early in the weekend and get to Stall for Easter Monday to race
smoke
the
up
3 inside running
Moose.
boys over a mile.
What handicap you off these days over a mile?
No, I haven't. I obviously have run very few pro events in the last few years. I guess with kind of moving up in distance a bit, plus COVID, plus footy has prevented me from running too many. So I don't think I wouldn't be able to tell you what my mile handicap is. But unfortunately, like you guys, it's probably based on my 3:47 days, so probably not that competitive.
You reckon they'll do that to you? That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, that is a little bit of leeway, but.
Do you reckon they'll do that to Croaks? They look at his PB and just like, mate, there's no way you're winning this. You're back. Well, he'll be off.
I think it'll hurt him a little bit.
He'll be off like 40 or 30 metres or something, won't he? He'll be starting 60 metres behind Moose and I.
Yeah, you'll meet somewhere in the middle. But having a PB that fast won't help.
Yeah, talent doesn't. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I might get your thoughts a bit closer to race day. See, when these handicaps come out, it'll be interesting because I know Nitter's going to run it as well from Shoe Geeks. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls with his handicap. And as you said, it makes things interesting. Like if this was just a flat-out 1,500 metre race, I'm smoking both those boys, but I might have to give them a head start or they might be behind me and I'll just smoke them away even more. So, they definitely, these handicap races make things interesting and it's just a whole different concept of running, which is fun. It's good to talk about and good banter. Beautiful, mate. Listeners can follow you on Strava. You put all your stuff up there.
That's about my only social media work. So,
well, I did send you a message. It took you about a week to reply on Instagram. I thought, I'm like, this guy even check Instagram? What's going on here?
I think I've got 0 posts on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So,
Don't follow him on there unless you want to see just blank nothing.
exactly.
Beautiful, Mara. Thanks for your time and your support of the Inside Running podcast. I know you've been a Patreon supporter for a long time, so we appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for giving up some time on a Tuesday to chat all things running.
No problem, Matt. Thanks for having me.
This episode of the Inside Running podcast is brought to you by Pillar Performance, Australia's leading sports micronutrition brand. Head to pillarperformance.com.au to learn more about their formulas and how they support recovery, elevate energy, and relieve joint inflammation.